Lebanon, Ohio. The stage is set for the World Ultimate Club Championships 2022, round 3 of day 3, and it's women's power pool action for you on this showcase field. Pool K, the upper power pool, we have a matchup between Sixers of Canada and Seagulls of Hamburg, Germany. Hannah Pendlebury and Theo Wan in the booth with you this fine, breezy, chilly day, if anything, here out on the fields. With the Canadians undefeated thus far, 4 for 4, and the Germans carrying that loss from Brute Squad, 15-6. They said it themselves, Seagulls might have had a slightly softer pool, Theo, but do you agree with that?
For Seagulls, they did take that loss to Brute, as you mentioned, and taking down Scram and Tabby Rosa. Tabby Rosa perhaps a little bit higher seeded than many expected. There are a lot of American women's teams here, and so they were able to also take down Huck. And so I think they're going to get a real test here from the Sixers, and it's going to be a great chance for them to play a different style of Ultimate that they might not be accustomed to in Europe.
Oh, absolutely, and the Canadians haven't actually faced up against a German team, I think, ever, but these two sides both having been formed in 2016, same age, these programs, but it's going to be really fun to see how they go. The Germans are certainly a very tall team, but we've got some big household names on this Canadian side. Theo, of course, himself being a Canadian man, we will try and avoid any bias here in the booth, but he's going to give us all the excellent facts as this game develops. So it will be the Canadians coming out on defense by the looks of things, and the Germans are going to have to try and see if they can sneak their first shot pass and open this game the way they hope to.
So taking a look at Seagulls on offense right now, talk offensively as they're on O-line. They want to take open looks, something that they talked about early on. They want to be able to see who is out there getting those free looks and hit those right away. And then on defense, they need to limit the star of not just the Sixers, but Team Canada's World Games team and Britt Dos Santos. They're going to have a couple different players they're going to put on Dos Santos, so expect that as well. They want to create chaos. They told us Sixers likes to play boring Ultimate on O. They just have such good flow, and they want to make things chaotic for the Sixers squad.
Well, and to highlight one of the star players for the Seagulls themselves, Svenja Pruns will be one of the individuals, the number 33, taking on the likes of Britt Dos Santos. But we're going to get ourselves underway here. First point for the German side. And it is a junky, zony look from the Canadians to start us off. The Seagulls pool plays have been dominant so far. Big scuba over the top, and that's a very nice way to get us underway. Kunzelman with the big release. Oh, and look at that in the end zone. Almost like she's invisible, but it's going to be an overthrow.
Coach Jordan Marin, who is here, talked to us before the game about how they're going to run these junky and zone looks. They know Seagull likes over the top. They're going to have a couple people in the mid area to try to stop that.
Well, it was definitely the required separation, but a pick-off after an overthrow from the Sixers. That's one apiece for each of these women's sides. Nice around space. A high grab. Forster. Hot pressure from the Canadians. They are on the backs. Linda now. Not really much movement upfield. Kunzelman is going to go into the end zone and use her height. The lofty Swiss pickup for the Seagulls side with a nice little toss spike there.
Kunzelman going up large with the grab, and you saw there Alyssa Mason, one of the defensive stalwarts for this Toronto side, also on the World Games team, coming off to help. But Kunzelman going up early and taking it large and getting Seagulls on the board.
So after that overthrow from Kunzelman, gets the pick off here. And eventually the Seagulls do hold it. Having a player like Kunzelman on your roster is pretty useful. Came to the World Club Championships back in 2018 with Zurich Zuf, and as a silver medalist for the Swiss women's national team. But let's see the shirt pulling there. We love these sideline cams and the action that they get there. Henrika Linda showing us a little bit of her swagger.
And you get a good shot of one of Toronto's teams here at this tournament in Toronto Goat.
Who, of course, we did see on the stream earlier this week. Of course, If you're seeing this game, then you already have subscribed to get yourself a bunch of buckets and buckets of Ultimate Archive footage as we see a huge disc going up for Sixers. Is that going to be run down by Vestman? Oh, she makes the bid. If that one was after the throw, then that's going to be a turnover. But Vestman, huge target. In fact, a Finnish player. Kind of winded herself there. Hopefully she'll be able to get back on the fields. It's Essi Inkinen and Inga Vestman coming across, of course, from the Atletico Finnish women's side, who, I have to say, Theo, last time I saw those players on the medal stage, they ruined my emotions by beating Iceni in devastating fashion, and Vestman was a big part of that.
Both of those players having tried out for Sixers a few years ago, so they were on the radar for the coaching staff, and bringing them in this year as Megan Gillis from Winnipeg, now playing in Toronto, is going to come in and sub on.
There you go, actually that is Essi Inkinen there, the number 30. Gillis coming on to replace Vestman. And that's Megan Gillis, of course. With a nice bleach look. Looking very impressed to be here right now. It's a solid game face.
Some discussion still happening. We also saw strength and conditioning coach Mike Haddock, both of the Sixers and the World Games out there helping Vestman.
Oh, no. That's right. You might have had other things going on there. Yeah.
So, of course, the continuation rules.
So you go back to the throw.
Do mean that you have to chase it down and catch it. Oh, well, you should always catch the disc just in case, to be honest. And if that had been a layout grab and stood, but a pick call will bring us back to the last uncontested part of play, where it all began. So, Cut's coming under, but it's going to be an expansive shot on the far side. Huge effort from Dos Santos to tow it in, but a little bit too much for her. But the velveteen fields here, so lovely to lay out onto.
Especially with a little the water that came down overnight, making it even better for some layouts that we're expecting throughout this contest.
Well, we've already seen too. This game is delivering the goods for us. It's a huge shot from Jakobsen, just shy of the goal line. Duttlinger looks around, going to take the resets. If she can find one, she cannot. Dish it in, though, and that's a lovely piece of work. Saskia Neubert with the goal, and that's a break for the Seagulls.
If you're a Seagulls fan in the audience, you're fired up. You're up 2-0 coming into this game. Neubert, 5 assists, 5 goals, and adding to that total right now, and trying to do some of the things they talked about with the keys, making things chaotic, keying in on Britt Dos Santos, as we see Dos Santos making a valiant effort to try to deal with the line and catch the disc, always difficult. And then I love the fact Seagulls transition right away. You know, you could work it up, but instead they go shoot it deep and attack. Sixers probably a little bit down, you know, after giving up that turnover.
Well, when you manage to cause that chaos and confusion, I mean, I did like the shot to Dos Santos, really opening up the space, but just a little bit of a high-pressure situation, maybe not quite the execution that was required to tow that in. Dos Santos did have a good go, though. But, yeah, no, I agree. It's that whole kind of, you know, you're causing that chaos, and if you settle too much into your offense and, like I say, do try and move it up conservatively, the early stages of this game, you can take that risk. And actually, if you can get that space downfield and not allow the Canadians to put their lethal defense on you straight away, it's only be a good thing.
Could also open up some unders later on in the game if they're expecting that deep game as well. So there's just so many benefits to doing that, and both of us in the booth loving that choice.
Oh, also because we love a deep shot, right? We love it in this women's game, seeing the creds of these women who can throw as far as any of them. That's a lovely footwork from Sarah Jakobsen. Maybe trying to say it in the European version, and a slicey, dicey inside as well. Sixers opening up on the cross of the side of the field, and it's a high grab. Nice and easy does it. Crystal Dos Santos with the one-handed sky.
So a couple things to note there on the Sixers offense. They came out in a split stack, doing a very traditional play for a lot of Canadian teams known as Air Canada, where they have those two players isolated. One goes under and gets a disc and shoots it for the other person deep. But then also as they worked it towards the end zone, working it laterally, making the marks have to move, and the checks downfield. Just a great offensive point to start, at least their second one so far, that smooth hold that they needed.
Well, speaking of Air Canada, the Seagulls team were one of the clubs that at this championship came a cropper with the flight situation at the moment. Obviously the world reopening now, all of us allowed to travel around and explore these lovely, wonderful places such as Lebanon, Ohio. We're so glad to be here. But the Seagulls had so many issues. I think all of their players had their flights delayed, cancelled. One of them had an overnight session in Philadelphia of making sparkly, glittery headbands. So check, see if you can spot them, the glittery headbands that were made in the airport overnight.
They're not the only team. I've seen a lot of glitter at this tournament on the faces, headbands as well, and just a little more flavor here at the World Ultimate Club Championships.
Oh, a cheeky nutmeg from the pool there as the Seagulls come out on offense and show us what they can do. Coulson in loads of space. Loads of separation downfield, actually. Nice toe work there. Looking around, a little lost for options, though. A high one's going to go over the top, though. Luke Brunier not able to explode out of the field and make the catch. So the pressure comes good in the end for Sixers. Jacobson calling for the reset. Has two at once. It's always difficult to hit. Nice movement across the field now. Squeezing it down the far sideline. Inching ever closer. Sang. High school count. Oh, nice, easy in the side. And a high roll curve flick. And that is the goal and the break back for Sixers. They respond immediately.
They've played Mason and Jacobson a few times now, crossing over both ways, and a sign of what's to come, potentially from Coach Jordan Marin. As the Sixers get the break, working up smoothly, kind of in contrast to what the Seagulls did on their defensive break opportunity, where they were able to shoot it right away. Sixers electing to work it up. Rachel Cook, a player to watch out for behind the disc on their defensive line, but instead slips downfield and gets the score.
We're talking about how quickly the offense was able to set up comparatively. It's about where the turnover happens, right? That one was on a swing pass attempt, red zone defense being applied. All of the players are behind the disc at that point, so you don't have that opportunity unless somebody is basically saying that disc is definitely never going to be caught and off I go. And it was a relatively close one. But I take your point. It was much more kind of, just chill flow style, which we love to see. But, I mean, hey, the pressure was there. The defense was there. Just a bit of a getting beaten to the open side, maybe.
And for the Seagulls now, this is their chance to show some resolve. We talked about one of the keys being taking open looks, and want to see that here for this offensive point after getting broken. The Sixers able to get that smooth hold after their first break.
And again, you see the zony look, trying to shut down the first options for the German side. Nice movement around. Dicklinger looking for Jakobsen, squeezing it into the breadbasket. Nice fake moving the mark around, but that's going to be an errant disc tipped out of contention by Wingi. Back in goes the disc with Essie Inkinen at first. Opportunity to see what she can do, and she opens up a pocket on the end zone and shoots the score through to G. Double happiness.
Yeah, the bookends for Win G's. Played in Ottawa, played for Quebec Iris as well in the USAU series, as GOAT is fired up, seeing themselves on the Tron. But we see the block from G, and then immediately going up line and getting the score. Sixers asserting themselves right now.
Well, that's what that zone is designed to do, and try and kind of, cover, smother the offense of the German side. And I love your signaling of the what I was referring to is the decorative hand ears, which I now understand is a signal for bookends. But I shall continue to call it decorative hand ears because it makes me happy on the inside. But you know what else makes me happy on the inside? Watching Brittany Dos Santos play Ultimate Frisbee, as you see her there on her screen. If you didn't know who she was before Heidelberg, the under-24s division, where she had some posterizing grabs, well, Games probably would have told you, yeah, she's pretty handy.
And within that, there are also a couple other World Games players. We see number 14, Sarah Jacobson, and we talked about Alyssa Mason earlier. Both of them have played a lot of minutes. We know this is a long tournament. We'll see if the lead continues and these breaks continue to pile up, if they decide to rest them a little bit for other games later on in this tournament.
Well, in the 15-point long format we have at the moment, people were saying that the 13 points you saw at World Games were too short. But either way, if you can put yourself with a big, big cushion going into halftime, doesn't really matter. And as you say, you can then sort of loosen up your lines, take maybe, you know, don't take your foot off the gas completely, don't put it in cruise control, but, you know, just save yourself for the latter business end of this tournament, because of course this is fighting for the bracket in the upper power pools. Fakes the big backhand, chooses the ripper of an inside shot. Love that, moving the mark around. Oh, and it's a big one, and it's separation. Who on earth let the number 28, Sonia Loudon, that free?
Fifth goal of the tournament for Lauren. Must have been a blown assignment downfield, but that's the smooth hold if you need if you're the Seagulls right now, and loving the energy as well. They needed that one. They get the energy back, put out your defensive line. You know you can get turns on the Sixers. Perhaps run that junk look once again.
And you can hear on the field mics the Seagulls celebration. I'm not going to imitate it because it will blow your eardrums out. But I have to say, the Sixers do seem to be pressuring the underspace quite a lot. And actually, I think they're almost trying to bait the big shots. They know that the Germans like to go over the top. But that one was, maybe, as you say, sleeping a little bit too much on the job.
Sometimes when you're trying to make switches downfield as well, if the communication isn't there, those blown assignments can happen and seem to result on that one. Get a look at Megan Gillis, a rookie on this squad who slotted into their offensive line. So love when coaches decide to integrate players in their first year and give them a big role right away.
Well, I mean, you know, if they've got the creds to be there, then absolutely. Personally, I prefer being on D-line myself, but I know it's a big compliment when you do, but there's an overshoot trying to hit Sarah Innes in the center of the field, but cannot quite connect. Oh, casual grab for Brugner on the far side, has Kunzelman, who grabs behind. Oh, and it's a big hammer over the top, opening up the toolbox, but of course it's tapped away. That one sat and hang. Easy pickings for Inke Westman, who's now back on the field after taking that big hit early stages. Kunzelman versus Westman. It's Europe on Europe, and it's a double block. Kunzelman says no. And the two marking each other. She knows now that Westman can't do any goaltending, but you can see the arms going up in the air to prevent the overhead fun that we do so love to see. Of course, if you're a fan of hammers and scubas, check out the Mooncatchers game, but that's going to be a catch and a goal for the Seagulls. And that's another break in this game.
I don't think many people coming into this one expected so many breaks right away, but offense is looking a bit shaky to start. That baited throw in the zone as well, as we see a tap away there from the Seagulls, and then the hammer that was blocked away by Westman of the Sixers. And then their defensive line put that zone look right away, had that turnover in the end zone, able to put that on and able to convert that break.
Well, I love seeing the European editions having a match-up between themselves. Very tall players. A timeout being called by Sixers. Just to settle the nerves. This is a tussle at the top, though. This is exactly what we would expect and hope to see in the upper power pools. It's the idea of the you know, these are the class, the creme de la creme that we're hoping to see in the brackets. Of course, the upper individuals will sail themselves straight through to quarterfinals, whereas the lower standings in the upper pools will face up against the top spots of the lower power pools as they go for the play-in bracket.
At this point, there's no more easy games for any of these teams. You have to dial in every match, and we're, as I mentioned previously, the offense is having a bit of a struggle. Tabby Rosa out of Florida. Not sure who they're cheering for right now, what team they're siding with. Having played the Seagulls previously, maybe they're cheering for them. We'll have to find out.
Well, they seem to be sat just underneath the gents from GOAT. So I'm going to have to say maybe they're Canadian fans. But we, of course, have no allegiances here in our booth. We just want to see the best possible game. All 29 points, please, if we can. Although it might ruin Charlie Eisenhood's nerves, our lovely producer, if this one goes to the wire again. It's the previous game, again, if you've not, there's so much quality to catch here at the World Ultimate Club Championships, as one would expect for a tournament of this caliber. But spicy games, especially as we get into the latter stages of the bracket play. So, Dos Santos popping across to Ma. And a zone from the Hamburg side. Dos Santos directing Jacobsen as to which pocket she'd like her to be in. And there we go. Nice over the top. Crystal. Dos Santos popping back to Ma. Oh, the pressure coming in. Just a little bump there. But all fine. Causing confusion and chaos are the Germans right now. We know that the Canadians like to move the disc rapidly. At the moment, they're holding on for quite a while, but that's a good find for Dos Santos. We see a melt to match. Jakobsen trying to get over the shoulder of Crystal Dos Santos. Oh, that's a lovely displacement, but it's going to be, again, a bit too much. Sixers need to do a little bit of a better job of connecting with Brittany Dos Santos. There was the window there, but just not quite the execution.
And the Seagulls on their zone look as well, coming in very wide. You saw players really sloughed off, forcing certain throws to the side. And we'll see if they decide to do it again, a different zone look than they had before.
That's a flat and fast hammer coming out the blocks, but there's just a bit too much energy. Katrin Duttlinger unable to keep her fingertips around the disc. Jacobsen now looking for a dancing Ma. Nope, she's going to go upfield. Oh, and that's a lovely backhand, but just too low. Lima Basra trying to hit Elisa Mason. Oh, it makes me nervous when you see those one-handed casual grabs. It's going to be a battle of the reeds though, and Brittany Dos Santos swipes it out of the air with ease. Basra pops up. Love that little piece of movement from the handler set there. Going for the give and goes. Now opening up the around space. Oh, that fiery attack was there. Hot pressure from Duttlinger after she had that error that gave the disc back to Sixers. Up line cut for Ma. Well covered. Dos Santos now making moves. See, she's turning on the speed there just to close the window for the defense. Ma shooting up. It's Mason. See how hard the top line of Sixers is having to work right now. The wind is here. As you can see, these edges of the disc being shown towards the camera side. But well executed. Jacobsen, nice slicer in. Oh, and there you go, opens up the channel, and that is the goal for the Canadians. Just a hold, and they had to work so hard for it.
Cook's second goal of the game, and you mentioned it, they had to work really hard. The catch block earlier from Dos Santos really started their offense going, as Seagulls we saw put on a zone look when they had a turnover in the end zone. They weren't able to do that as the Sixers got the catch block. And we're going to see that block right here. Dos Santos making the grab and starting the offense right away, putting Seagulls on their heels. Saw players having to find who their checks were after, and then we saw the Sixers goal.
Yeah, some errors in the throws there. Rachel Cook on your screen. The youngster from Toronto, 5'3", very rapid. Always envy players with centers of gravity that are so close to the ground. Makes it very easy to do dynamic turns. But at the moment, Theo, I have to say, it'd be nice to see the Sixers slightly clean up the throws here. There've been a couple of discs that haven't been quite the magic that we expect from this young side, but they have been lovely options.
And I think this is what the Seagulls wanted. The chaotic offense, them not going in their flow. Throws that they normally would hit just hitting into the ground. This is what the Seagulls want.
Oh, absolutely. The Germans will be delighted right now, but we just want to see the highest quality possible. But the defense has definitely been that. It's a nice find and a huge disc. It's going to sail over the defender. Can it be run down? Oh, yes, it can with ease. What a shot! And collecting Leah Buchholz with the goal.
Buchholz with the grab continues the lead for the Seagulls, and what a contrast in those last two offensive points. Sixers having multiple turnovers, having to work really hard. Seagulls in contrast, the opposite. A couple throws, and then it's a big huck through that zone look. G was split between two Seagulls players and had to pick.
So this is the interesting thing. At the moment, like I say, the Canadians are really trying to take away and pressure the handler set. They're trying to get that kind of, you know, short field pressure turn. And I'd be interested to see if the next time they run zone, they have two deeps. Because there's been a couple of opportunities given to the Seagulls, and they didn't hit the first one in the first point, but that's my point. They're kind of like, there's a lot of open, wide field space, and Seagulls have proved they can hit those shots.
That's also important and goes down to their coaching with spacing. Having enough people in the right spots so that there's not too many people deep crowding and bringing more defenders into that deep area.
So offside signaled. And the crowd goes wild for the offside.
The pro Toronto GOAT crowd going wild there.
Did you say the pro?
The pro, like
oh,
the
pro,
the
yes,
pro
yes.
Toronto.
Gotcha. Pro is in for rather than pro is in professional.
Some of them do play semi-professionally, but yes, the very pro Toronto crowd there cheering on the Sixers.
Well, I don't know about professional playing of Ultimate, but I'm all about the professional heckling of Ultimate. Inga Westman, being the player she is, in that pocket on the left-hand shoulder of this zone. Inkinen, so not used to playing that rapid pace. Happy to play against this zone, finding Britt Dos Santos. Thinks about the shot on the round. Oh, and there's just a confusion for Westman. What on earth was that?
The defender did come in to try to make the block, but I think Westman has that concentration and that ability to make those plays.
It was in her hands and then it wasn't. That was so sad. But hey, an opportunity for the Germans to get another break in this game. Pick of a collision just by the handler set. Raffenberg. Popping it back. Now a foul call. Lots of tumbling. Chan there, number 18. Olivieri getting us back underway. Big poach. Nearly manages to shoot it away from Rattenberg. Kunzelman going up line. It's a battle for the ages. Those two playing against each other, but that is going to be not able to be scooped up on the second shot. Kunzelman went up early, but unable to climb the mountain and snag the disc away from Inka Westman's hot pressure. Dos Santos finds the inside to her sister. Popping it forward. Westman now does have big throws as well as massive grabs. Shot over the top from Inkinen, a laser. But moving it nicely now. Players flooding through. In it's back to Dos Santos, to Inkinen. Everybody clustered in front of the disc. Moves it around to Dos Santos. Oh, and that's a big, expansive mark. Move it away. And the goal for Sarah Innes in the center of the end zone.
Dos Santos using her fakes really well, and the Seagulls electing to stay sort of in that zone look deep into the end zone, expected potentially for them to match and melt into the traditional person look, but instead they don't. And we see the turnover, high throw popped up, good effort from the Seagulls, but the Sixers able to take advantage as the fake from Dos Santos making the mark bite so far, almost 10 yards back. And I was gonna say, as the Seagulls were moving up, if they had scored that break, I personally probably would have called a timeout for the Sixers just to get things back. But now it's 5-all, and it's all good, at least for now.
Absolutely. We remain on serve now after the first break going to Seagulls, and then the 3 unanswered channel for the Sixers. But it's tough at the top. This is the 4th seed in front of you in this women's power pool versus the 1st seed in the women's power pool. So Mason showing us her ab game as well as her pull game. But I don't hate that look. It is very warm. The wind has been making its presence felt in this fields complex. And it is slightly cooler today. That one is going to be collected by Jakobsen. I think the target was the number 91. Dudlinga. Forster having to take the reset around. Dancing goes Nayas. Well read over the top of her head. And her head is very red. She's got fiery red hair under that cap. You can't see it, save for the little ponytail poking out. But Nayas is a tall individual with red locks. Jakobsen, the Danish player, coming across to the Seagull side. Oh, that's a huge break. A foul in the center of the field might bring us back, but what a release from Jakobsen. She looks like to be a defensive foul.
Okay, if it didn't affect the play, it can stay. Stays there. Okay, come here.
And the wise words from our game advisor telling us exactly that that play will stand and that throw won't have to come back. So Forster pops in, looking a little bit lost for options on these resets, but the handler's grinding it out. Jakobsen making herself available for Forster, but she's going to go for the inside. It's lethal, but has to be redeemed by the player coming in from the back space, and that's a nice piece of work and a hold for the Hamburg team.
A smooth hold at that for the Seagulls. Talking with Jakobsen earlier, they're going to be rolling a lot of lines in this game. No real set O&D. They're just going to give everyone some opportunity. Maybe as the game gets tighter, we may see some crossover there, Hannah, but for right now, they're going to roll through the lines. And the Sixers, I see a lot of crossover as well, where they're putting some players both on defense and offense. So we'll see which strategy pays off here as the Seagulls continue to hold the lead.
Well, Grete Luterman getting her first stat on the board for this game. The under-24 player, a lot of youth on this field right now. Some younger rising stars.
And not many having played in 2018 at this tournament, the same location. So a big youth movement out there, and it's starting to pay off, and can't wait to see what they do even 4 years from now.
Absolutely, it's such a exciting sport. Ultimate Frisbee, or flying disc as it's sometimes known. And it's so easy to play. All you need is a disc and some people to play with. Because you can use your shoes for cones and play barefoot if you have to. I've seen it happen.
Is that how you started?
Oh no, I have flat arches. If I try and run without shoes, bad things happen, Theo. So Britt Dos Santos anchoring this offense against the zone, finds Westman. Can they make the most of their run? No, they can't. The zone closes back in. Oh, and that's a lovely over the top again. Britt, and Britain Vestman just playing ball out here. But now the Sixers using the rest of their squad across. Nice zesty grab from Dos Santos, opening up a hammer. And this time it's Nosta Vestman, just checks her feet behind her. Good stuff. Nilima Basra with the goal. Although there's a call on the field. Oh no, it's all good. Communicated well, and the goal will stand. The little look over the shoulder there. You'd like to hope she would have done that before she caught the goal.
Basra just all smiles, scoring a goal at Worlds, dancing it up, got it, and I know Sixers love that, but standing basically still in the end zone there. And one thing to always watch out for is Britt Dos Santos, but specifically how calm she is with the disc. Never looks panicked. Surveying options, saw the big backhand fake earlier, and then the hammer to the back of the end zone. And as you mentioned, Basra maybe should have looked a little bit earlier, but decides at the end to see if she's in bounds.
Because that would have been such a heartbreak if her back heels had been on the line after she'd shuffled back to take it in the breadbasket rather than attack the disc aggressively. That would have been a bit #awkward.
And loving seeing these shots of the players on the sideline. Get to see them in their element, grabbing snacks, dancing, chatting with their teammates. Love the production Ultiworld is putting on there.
You know what we haven't mentioned with the weather? It's so much less humid. And actually, in terms of the quality of play we're seeing out here on the fields, as a young man gets a bit excited on the far side, it's not as slippery for the hands. We've seen a lot of game, a lot of chalks, magnesium, anything that doesn't stick to the disc and doesn't change the surface of the disc is okay and is allowed. But today it's just so much easier to keep these discs in your paws, whether throwing or catching. So it's a battle of the zones. Who can create the most impenetrable fortress using nothing but the players on the field, and an overshot. Clara Raffenberg trying to raffle that one in. Jacobson is around. Oh, and with no mark, throws exactly what she wants, but the pick call is going to bring us back.
This back to Tiffany Zhang.
So Chan, with nobody anywhere near her, is going to ground tap correctly, and then again it's an action replay into the end zone. Jade Huangfu. Oh no, I tell you what, I stand corrected. That wasn't quite in. It looked in from where we were, Theo.
And we saw once again the rarely seen, or in the World Series, the North American ground tap from Huang Fu trying to get things started.
But it was correct because there was no defender near her to tap it in.
Good use of the rule there.
Rarely seen correct North American ground tap. Anyone who enjoyed the World Masters Clubs Championships a wee while ago will know that one for sure. Violation now called on the field. We're getting through all the rule book in this point. Everyone getting a bit twitchy as we sit here at 6-6. Because this will be a break for the Canadians. Oh, and it's a slap down D from Kunzelman. Getting a paw in there. Just a little scratch on the morale, and a big shot going deep. Two white shirts underneath it, continuing into the end zone. Not for the easiest. Oh no, she's going to take it. And by Jove, that was an opportunity missed.
I think you thought it was going to be a score there because it looked like it at that point. But the Seagulls right now shooting it on defense, not afraid.
I cannot discredit the attempt to take the disc high with the pressure on the back two, on the shoulder. However, that could have been run down. That's all I'm going to say as we see that arc that's going to overshoot Jacobson. And an opportunity for the offense of Seagulls to punch this one in. It would just be a hold. Oh, that one almost looked like she was angry at the frisbee, sailing over everybody off the palms of Lisa Vorlab.
Mason also poaching off her defender to make, didn't get the hand on the disc, but being in the area definitely made the Seagull player go up early as well.
Well, the pressure is definitely rising here on this field. Of course, these players all trying to fight for the best spot going into the championship bracket, if they can. Oh, and Jacobson on the run. Now it's going to pass over to Mason, a fellow World Games athlete. Hop back. The zone look from the Germans now, containing very nicely. Huang Fu popping back to Cook. And dishing over to Mason. Oh, took that one for a little bit of a walk before she started, but this is all fair with the giving and going with Jacobson. Oh, and an easy one at the end, and that's a break for the Sixers. And they seem not quite as hype as they could be for a break at 6-6.
I think they may be a bit frustrated with themselves and some of the turnovers that they're making as we see a timeout being called. Sixers generating the break though. Really interesting how the Seagulls, when the offensive line turned it, went into that zone look and really stuck with that throughout that point. See the knock away there from the Seagulls. Kunzelman. And trying to go for that deep shot there, but as Hannah mentioned, on this throw in particular, some pressure off the back from the Sixers. Zhang was coming into the area there. And then the little give-go action between Jacobson and Mason. And eventually Jacobson will find Mason in the end zone. And you mentioned not as fired up. Maybe they're just trying to stay cool, calm, and collected as part of it.
Well, it certainly wasn't how they planned it out to get that one. A bit of a dirty break. 3 turns it took. And with such high-quality players out here on the field for Sixers, they probably would hope to be performing a little bit better than it taking 3 attempts.
On this point now, an interesting timeout call. I think a smart one here from the Sixers because they sense that they can get this for half, take it 8-6, and then start on offense. This is important.
Exactly, 100%. You only get 2 timeouts per half, and this is where we're going to see a very tight all-star line. And who do we have? We have Jacobson, Cook, Mason. Take us through the rest of them.
Jessie Sang, Tiffany Zhang as well, a player who's going to be playing for the U20 team in August in Poland. So I know talking with some of the coaches from the U20 team, they don't want the Sixers to play Tiffany of course they want to get her experience, but want to keep her fresh for the U20 tournament as well.
Oh, Theo, come on. There are so many athletes doing the, double or triple peak this season. Under 20s, they're like rubber kittens. They just bounce. They just bounce back. I mean, hopefully, I'm okay. I'm going to take that back. No commentators cursing. I don't want to have to get in any way, shape, or form injured out here on the fields. But that's my point. These athletes here, they know what they're doing, and I'm sure she'll be. I think she'd rather have a gold medal, perhaps from the World Club Championships in the seniors division, over maybe one from the juniors. But that's just my potential. I could be wrong. I mean, they are probably fairly equal, all things. But why not both? ¿Por qué no los dos? She says, speaking in Spanish, as the Germans try and hold on to another point and not give the Canadians that 2-point lead going into the second half of this game.
Sixers coming out more in-person defense right now, and as there's some discussion potentially happening downfield, see some hand signals as well. But interesting on this point, trying to go with a more straight-up person look, forcing a turnover that way.
Well, the risk you take by playing too much zone, of course, is that the other team sort of get into the rhythm of that zone. Whereas if you can change up the rhythm of the defense, there's a confusion, and in comes Mason over the top and opens up a huge backhand. That is gorgeous. Nahez, though, is going to run it down very well and prevent the score off that quick break.
Heads up defense from Naharas right there, coming off the back, preventing that big backhand from Mason, and a potential break for half there. And some confusion from the Seagulls. Jakobsen thought maybe someone else was going to grab it and then kind of relented off the disc.
Well, a full head and shoulders above Jessie Sang. Natjes now is going to have to look for a reset. Jakobsen, oh, with the huge layout save in the end zone. Putting this team on her back and carrying them through. See her running up the end. Oh, but there's a bit of conservation of greatness for us. The fluffed catch. And a short field opportunity for Sixers. Striding towards the disc, Sarah Ma. Dos Santos, early days, going to work. It's going to be not needing to lay out for that one, and it's half taken by Brittany Dos Santos herself. Going to work, and I love that early cut so much. So closing that one off, the Canadians with another 3-point bounce. Seagulls are going to have to come out firing in this second half, or they'll soon find this game just taken away from them right in front of their faces. We're going to take a short break here as the Canadians lead 8-6.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds,
defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Half-time here in the women's division. Pool K in front of us, the women's power pool, as we have Tom Stiles with some sideline interview action.
Oh, we're down here with Inga Diaz, and a great first half from Seagulls. You came out really strong, and you were up at one point. Was that part of the game plan?
Obviously, sure. No, we thought we come up in this game as strong as we can, and we showed that with coming up with 2 points straight away. I think the nerves got to us in the end, slightly, but in my opinion, we're playing our best game so far in our offense. Our defense is so strong, and we're keeping that up in our second half now.
Do you think they'll come back at you? Well, they came back to you to have just taken the half. What did they change about the way they were playing?
They adjusted some throws they have against our zone defense. We analyzed that already, so let's see what we're putting up against that in our second half.
You've got a teammate here as well. Hello.
Yeah. We just want to say greetings to Susie, who just broke her ACL just on the last training camp. So big
Much
love to you and
Susie. We love you.
We love you.
From Hamburg with love. Thank you very much, Inga.
Thank you.
From Hamburg with love indeed. And love to all of the fans watching this stream, wherever you happen to be, whatever the time zone you're watching right now. Go get yourself a little beverage, some refreshments, and join us very soon for the second half of this enticing match.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change.
Around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Half-time here in women's upper power pool action for your delectation. Hannah Pendlebury and Theo Wan in the booth this fine Ohio day. Round 3 of the games here on day 3, and we have a Sixers in charge of this match at the moment, but they've been trading the power plays with the Seagulls trading 6. It's been a game of breaks. These are the breaks, as a clever man once said. But what do you think that the Seagulls have to do to break it up, break it up, break it up, and get the disc back off of the Sixers, Theo?
I think they can continue to run that zone look and force some of those throws that have been, I don't want to say uncharacteristic, but something we haven't seen from the Sixers in other games in this tournament. And, you know, we had a couple throws to Britt Dos Santos that were a little bit errant, forcing that chaotic offense as they had talked about from the open. See, their energy right now is very positive. They're down a couple breaks, having to start on defense as well. But during the halftime, they were just doing songs, yapping it up, having good times with friends, and I think that looseness will ultimately help them here in the second half.
Well, at the moment, the successful D-point sort of statistics are pretty much even. So we saw the stats from this game on your screen but a moment ago. But I just want to say the perfect conversions of the Sixers is what I'd like to highlight. 2 of 6 versus 1 of 4 for Seagulls Hamburg. It's just, they've got that little bit of edge on their D-line. But I think this is still very much a game that's winnable for Seagulls. But I can't help but get that feeling in my tummy that the Sixers are going to come out of the blocks firing in this second half and just dazzle us.
What would be devastating if you're a Seagulls fan in the crowd is a 1 or 2 throw smooth hold to increase that lead to 9-6 and really just take some of that wind out of the sails, as they say. Sixers scoring 3 straight points to get into the half. So momentum on the side, maybe the halftime will kind of cool them off, but a short pull, we'll see what Seagulls defense does here.
And that does seem to be the Sixers' forte, is going on a run a little bit as we see Innes on the far side hitting Dos Santos. Oh, and Innes is absolutely acres free, but everyone clustering on that far side, not able to make the most of it. The foul is called and immediately uncontested. Greta Luterman trying for the hand block, but getting a bit too much touch.
Trying to make some things happen for her team, can't fault that. And another stoppage. We had a few of those in the first half, gumming up some of the smooth flow that we had saw in previous points.
Yeah, another false start. Everyone getting back into their into the blocks. So Bajra going to try and hit Dos Santos, and again the Sixers overthrow the star-studded gold medal from, not from World Games, but other championships. She's been a champion for a long time, champion of many people's hearts back in Heidelberg at the under-24 division. The Seagulls right now trying to make it happen. Vestman coming in with a lot of pressure, but nice moving around.
Might be able to hear it from our mics, but Wynn's starting to pick up a tad as well. See if that plays into some of the points moving forward.
Gerdische, high stall count rising. Oh, just pops it up. Well taken. A stall out is going to be called, but Svenja Pruns marking up against Brittany Dos Santos. We said we'd see that matchup. And a nice sky ball.
Prune's a bit quiet on the stat sheet right now, but trying to make her presence felt in other ways for this squad.
Well, it's those cogs that sometimes the stats miss, but they keep the offense flowing like a river down into the valley. So the stall will stand, and standing over the disc now, Britt Dos Santos. Tight mark. We've seen her move those away and throw whatever she wants. Oh, a nice shot, but again, the poach off the back of the stack's going to prevent the number 70 from getting another to add to her stat sheet.
It's almost an eerily similar throw. Going up line, the throw, you know ultimate coaches teach you to throw the reset a little bit closer there.
It's just dialed in, far too dialed in, as a fun shot over the top. Just opens up the field for Seagulls. Just trying to make it happen here. Shots to the end zone are fired. Two defenders that sits and hangs. Can she make a huge grab? Dos Santos goes up early, but a bit too much contact from, well, actually, no, that's a Dos Santos. Not a Dos Santos sandwich, but the Dos Santos bread on the Rauren sandwich.
That's exactly what I would call it. Both sisters playing with the Sixers since its inception in 2016. And causing that sandwich, as you said.
70 went straight up and D'd the disc, okay? Okay?
It was just because she stepped on my foot, but...
Yeah.
No,
okay.
So the call is retracted. There was a bit of a step on the foot from Dos Santos the elder, but the perspective of the game advisor saying the disc had been D'd. It's possible that it might have been a second bid on it, but we'll never know. As the turnover stands, and of course we can't undo what has already been done on the field. So Westman with huge pressure from the Seagulls. A pick downfield as Inkinen swerved around the front of the stack.
Been really impressed by the two Finnish players and how they've integrated themselves into the offense for Sixers and adjusting to that style of play throughout this game.
Absolutely. With all the zone looks that we've been seeing from the Seagulls, it has been playing into the favoured, more European chilled out style than the rapid, fiery pace. And that's a foot block, but can't quite stop the disc to Dos Santos. The power on the release from Sarah Ma must have been something special. Dishing, giving and going, immediately fires up line. Oh, and that's going to be a lofty ball. And it's going to be out of contention. Crystal Dos Santos finding herself at the front of the pack, unable to make a play.
The Seagulls' help defense has been really impressive. Multiple defenders, either on a zippy upline pass or a floaty throw. It's that team defense that's really helping them out right now and generating some of these turns from the Sixers.
And this is turning into a long, long point. So 5 turnovers so far. Let's see if we can finally punch this one in. Oh, nice block from the 31, Nalima Basra.
Just a second-year player on this Sixers squad. Had kind of a shortened season with some of the lockdown restrictions that were in place in Canada. So really getting her full first season with the Sixers right now.
Yeah, it was such a curious factor last season as to who could practice, who could train, who couldn't. We certainly saw that in many European nations. Inkinen opening up the backhand break. Or nearly the sister-to-sister connection, but excellent defensive work for Mira Brodalf coming in and applying the mark. Westman now finds Dos Santos. Meters from the goal line. Steps into that around, nearly overdoes it. The work from Sarah Innes. Oh, and it's a big shot over the top, but again, it's a little bit too much, and we get another turn. That'll be 7.
Seagulls, you're getting opportunities. Now you got to figure something out on offense. I know they tried to put a couple of deep shots earlier, but the help defense from the Sixers was there. I know it's the first point out of half, but a timeout potentially to settle some nerves?
That wouldn't be a bad call, to be honest, Theo. But right
there's
now,
lots of game left, but things not really working on their D-line offense so far.
well, that's a powerful shot into the center of the field. They need to stop sitting and looking at the handlers so much. I'm really not a fan of this. Be a bit more aggressive, and it's almost like they heard you, Theo. We see the timeout at long last.
You're sensing that your offense might not be able to move it as the way you like it, and a chance to grab some water, some snacks from the sideline as we see that, and some discussion as well on what stall it's going to come in at.
Okay. Well, do you agree to that? Yes.
I just had the feeling.
You said stalling one.
Yeah, at the same time. Then
Did you say you said stalling one?
Yes.
Okay.
At the same time, then you took timeout. Okay.
Garisher in discussion right now. Coming into this game, 7 assists and 5 goals, helping power the Seagull squad.
Immediate. Yeah, but I think they're still catching it. You cannot catch it.
We're still talking, so don't start the timeout yet.
Catching it and taking the timeout might take 1 second. So if I say stalling at the same time that she catches it, so then I can also say what?
Do you want my perspective on that?
Sure.
She had that tee right when she caught the disc.
Okay, fine.
Yep.
So the Sixers just chilling out and having a little bit of a dance. Don't know what was just said in the middle of that circle, but it's had quite the reaction.
Had a little person do a little break dance move in the middle, getting everybody fired up. And that looseness right there, Christine Jurichuk being involved, and had some discussion on the stall, but I think it was only a couple second, if 1 or 2 stall difference, and led to a lot of discussion there.
Yeah, Inkinen, a fiery personality in Europe, known for that. But, you know, cordial discussion, and assisted by the lovely game advisors in green, of course, just adding that extra perspective and rules knowledge. But this point so far has been 9 minutes long. It's not the longest point we've ever seen. I myself have played 20+ minute long points with multiple timeouts, sorry, and certainly multiple turnovers. That would be a relentless slog if you were just having to play offense or defense in 20 minutes straight.
There'll be a lot of zone, and maybe the disc not moving much on that point if that were the case.
But this is, I would say, I might prove myself wrong later, but this is the moment for the momentum in this game. We've had 3 unanswered to end out the first half from Sixers. So if the Seagulls can't post this one in the letterbox, they're going to find themselves sent overseas for a long time in isolation. It's moving it round the back to the break side, where the space is found, but the pressure from the mark of Nilima Bajra is too much to be handled. Oh, and it's going to be a missed opportunity for Bajra on the underneath. Huge poaching from the Germans out of the stack, and Neubert with the block.
That help defense is still remaining. That's what's been strong for them.
Neubert going to work, but Crystal Dos Santos, oh, she doesn't manage to get the block. It just flutters out of her fingers. What a recovery for Seagulls. Now, red zone defense, the pressure and temperature rising. An easy find, Lutterman. Close, but yet so far. The footwork from Buchholz getting away from Vestman. Now coming in, Neubert, who got the block and just can't get her paws around it. So much energy right now. Can someone end this point, or are we just going to be stuck here for eternity?
I would hope that we're not stuck in eternity, because we got more games coming up for you. So we're hoping the viewers get to see that great block there from Neubert.
And off she goes, just turns on the jets. Crystal Dos Santos tries, she does get contact with the disc, but got to go with 2. It's a big one, can it be redeemed? Yes, Dos Santos underneath it. Loudon matching up, finds her sister. Bajra been so pivotal for this point, going to loft it into the end zone. The pressure is there. An uncontested foul, so this is still the first point of the second half. Still the first point. Just to remind you, watching this, We've been here for a while. We're not confused, but that is it, ladies and gents. The first point of this second half and the fourth unanswered from Sixers. It's a Dos Santos connection. The sisters for the goal and assist.
We're hoping Dos Santos family watching in the crowd, watching the stream, getting excited for that little connection. But if you're Seagulls right now, some opportunities given away, especially after that Neubert layout, which got you on the doorstep. They've had some trouble with their resets. Some of the players looking not as confident, sitting, looking at the dump right away, and not being able to get some throws off. Their reset situation has been a bit of an issue right now as we look at Britt Dos Santos and all the stats.
Well, 2 turnovers thrown, but that's a pretty good average on the goals and assists for this game. Britt Dos Santos, we knew we'd see a lot out of her, and we're getting exactly that. But I tell you what, we got a lot out of that point. Wasn't the nicest. 10 turnovers it took just for an offensive hold for the Canadians. So great effort for the Seagulls, but have they spent too much of their budget here on that point?
Perhaps they're hoping that rolling line strategy talked about earlier pays into effect. They're not going to have the same players that were on the field, and perhaps that will give them some energy, and a smooth hold would bode great dividends for them, getting that tired O-line back out right away for the Sixers.
We're seeing a lot of love with the Seagulls hugging each other, giving each other slaps on the back, lots of smiles to try and make sure. I said they spent too much of their budget on that last point in terms of their mental focus and their motivation, but that's the way you put pennies back in the pot. Nice cheeky scuba over the top for Jakobsen.
A good way to stop some of that pull play action is that zone look that prevents that smooth hold that I discussed would give a lot of momentum for the Seagulls.
Absolutely. Sofenia Prunes opens up to the soft side of the field. An absolutely sensational backhand. That was such a nice throw. Franziska Choshna with the score. Haven't seen much of her so far this game, but a large-statured athlete.
Get a look at the throw from Prunes. One of the coaches on the squad who also plays as well. And talking to Jakobsen earlier, one of the great things about this team is everyone's bought into what the coaches are talking about and just the systems in place, the playing time, all of that. Jakobsen said to us, this is the best team in terms of that culture. So we're hoping that trickles down to other teams as well. Prunes, a couple turns, but that assist was important.
And it was beautiful as well. We first saw her emerging onto the scene with World Clubs 2018. Actually, I take that back. Beach Women with Germany back in 2017. But she was a European. Of course, the beach gold medalist from 2018 is the Seagulls. So maybe this isn't their surface quite as much, but they are getting some quality stuff out here on the fields. But I think that what you say about the team coming together and not having any issues, you know, no disquiet amongst the ranks, that can't be underestimated, especially for these week-long tournaments where you have to spend so much time living in each other's pockets. It really helps if you like your team and you can come out here on the field and just have that trust and that belief together.
Because if you don't, Hannah, it's going to be a very long week for you and probably not very pleasant.
Oh, absolutely. Type 3 fun for sure. Jakobsen in the center of the field, popping back. Nice and easy, Dos Santos. First time we've seen Jakobsen really sort of on the shoulder of the cup. Normally sits further back on the shoulder on the zone offense. But she's found with a little needle through the haystack. Putting the offense together nice and slowly. Dos Santos now pops and goes. A melt to match for the German side. Britt being patient, finds Ma. Back to Dos Santos. Jakobsen with nobody anywhere near her. She'll be able to throw whatever she wants. Oh, and she throws into the poach. It just pops off the chest of Westman, looks around in disbelief.
Norris, once again, we heard her in the halftime interview and providing some great defense there. Westman, another tough catch that had to be made in the end zone.
Oh, Kunterman with an absolute rocket towards the end zone. Wohlrab Now looking for her opportunity. Oh, she's going to go for it. Dos Santos underneath, but cannot stop the hands of Leah Buchholz, who holds that one. And that is a much needed bit of sunshine onto the Seagulls' backs.
We got a game. 9-8's the score. Seagulls gets the break. They had the smooth hold previously. Worath making things happen with a lot of options there. And a turnover once again for the Sixers. We've had a few of those. We saw some passes too far for Dos Santos and in that front cone area. And then bursting free was Buchholz for the score. The industrial engineer living in Hamburg gets her second goal of the game.
And Hamburg, of course, being where the Seagulls team is based. They have a couple of friends from a little bit further away. That big bomb of a backhand that was launched by Laura Kunzelmann, the Swiss player, currently living in Basel, where she originated from. But it's just been such an odd rhythm to this game, Theo. It's just, I don't know who's in front most of the time. That's how I feel emotionally. I know this. I know what the scoreline is. I can see it. We've got all of that information in front. But I just don't feel like either team has really sort of grabbed this game by the scruff of its neck and sort of pulling it around. So, but it's exciting. I love these kinds of games, and just the quality of these two sides to just recover from the double breaks.
Sixers had a bit more flow when they got those 3 unanswered points, but really it's been very stop and go, and those multiple turnovers, especially on that first offensive point out of half, really slowing things down for them.
You're seeing a lot of the same players out on the field for Sixers. Innes trying to squeak one out, but the handler marks are excellent. In comes Alyssa Mason. Oh, and Jacobson having to make the recatch, but manages it. The travel, though, has been called on Alyssa Mason's throw. But the focus off Jacobson, that was brilliant.
Play continuing downfield, but getting a look at Mason's throw and run, little round the corner action. I saw it up here. I thought it was a travel as well. Obviously, I can't call it from up here to the players, but that's definitely what I saw from up here.
Well, of course, if Jacobson hadn't been able to make that recatch, that turnover would have stood. So just making sure, and that one's going to be highlight reel worthy for sure. And a huge grab, showing she can do both, the lows and the highs. Mason also having to make a hero out of herself. I tell you what, Sixers need to reel this one in. They are playing at the very edges of their offense.
Maybe something, a nickname for them, the Cardiac Kids or something like that, because they're just making your heart jump with some of these catches they're having to make, snagging it up high, snagging it down low.
Oh, well, we'll see if they can quiet things down and just be a bit smoother. Dos Santos finding Jacobson. Cuts flooding across. Tell you what, some of those Dos Santos makes look very easy. That little lefty dish, though, perhaps almost too cash. Could have come unstuck. And another pick in the stack. Going to give us a brief moment of pause. Weaven Cook at the back of the stack. Not doing much of the movement. It's all coming from the handlers right now. Dos Santos. Oh, she sneaks it around the back. And there's the goal, Reef Chan.
They needed that one. After giving up the break earlier, some, taking your breath away catches, but they're able to show the nerve and resolve and get the hold, and now flipping the pressure back onto the Seagulls.
So let's see a bit more of this game. The Dos Santos. Well, going to business. She's been trying to connect with her teammates in the mid-stage of this game. It's been working much, much better, but she's such an incredible athlete. We're talking about these grabs that she's been making, but that way she opened up that space for the final goal there, just crediting herself. The bank of Dos Santos is open for business.
And as we speak about Dos Santos and some of the other World Games players, we'd be remiss to not talk about some of the players not here in attendance for the Sixers. Lauren Kamira, Hannah Dawson, Molly Lewis, not in attendance, as well as an injured Laura Kinoshita and a World Games alternate in Cindy Trong. So for them to put up what they're doing right now with some of those pieces, big pieces I would say, missing, and I'm sure they're watching at home and cheering on their Sixers teammates. And Seagulls back out here on offense, trying to stem a little bit of that Sixers momentum.
Well, the World Games athletes out here on the fields, extra keen perhaps for Frisbee, and we love a bit of Frisbee keenness. As Gerisha surveys the options, there's double cuts upfield, was an opportunity in the centre. Oh, just throwing the truss ball, and a lovely grab from Prun. She's going to immediately shoot, and she's going to score for Seagulls, and they're so quick in this second half on these offensive points, Theo.
2 holds, both smooth ones for the Seagulls. We saw a dangerous reset throw again. A little bit unsure of the throw, but reeled in, and then a shot downfield for the Seagulls. And they're keeping things close right now. I don't know if the Sixers expected a big fight from the Seagulls, and they're getting it right now.
Well, it's demoralizing when you play such good defense to shut down all of the options and the opposition just throw themselves open. But I'll tell you what, the biggest thing I think on these fast-flowing offense points for Seagulls is that they're spending a lot of time with their D-line, with the star lineup of Sixers, just wearing them down, starting to grind away. And if they can then come out and do 1, 2, 3 shot offense, it's a much longer time. It tires out the legs of the superstars.
Getting a shot of the field complex, and some ominous, I would say, Hannah, looking clouds in the background. Rain averted so far. It rained a little bit earlier today and overnight. But right now, the sun coming out on the back of our booth here and giving us a little bit of heat as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, we must be in the eye of the storm, Theo, as we see another bit of zone from the Seagulls, perhaps flapping their wings and keeping those dark clouds far, far away. As Innis and Dos Santos start to nibble up the yards as they advance towards their next point. Ma into Innis. Oh, that's a nice find. An easy grab high. The Germans sticking with the zone, trying to keep causing that chaos. Not even the fakes of Innis, throwing that ponytail around like a whip. Now to Dos Santos, Innis getting all the touches, these back three. Oh, and just a little eye of the needle threaded into the palms of Reeve Chan.
A smooth hold, the same people that took part in the last goal for the Sixers, Dos Santos to Reeve Chan. And the zone preventing some throws, but maybe they'll switch to person to try to gummy something up, or we'll see what happens.
I don't like the honest zone right now. I'd like a little bit of poaching, a little bit of weirdness, because that was what was getting the disc off of Sixers earlier. That sort of, you know, they were doing excellent work of taking down the downfield options and then sort of, you know, the Sixers perhaps dialing it in a little bit. But that was just something that gave the Sixers the chance to get that confidence back, just sit back on their heels and just easily work it. Although I tell you what, that little slicer from Britt Dos Santos at the end for the goal was exciting.
And if you do end up going person, you can still work with some of that switching defense here. Get a good look at Columbia Revolution.
Yeah. So, in fact, actually, Liv Kovalchuk used to play for Seagulls. We'll be getting Revolution versus Swampy Bog in a little while here on the fields. But they're just getting themselves ready. But we're here already, Theo. We're in the midst of it, the thick of it, as this game continues. But if it's going to be trading from here, it will be too much. And Seagulls will have to take another loss. Of course, carrying that one into this pool play stages from their match against Brute Squad in Pool C. And it's another big shot, going to be a bit too far though. Nice run down from Alyssa Mason just to make sure
Seagulls came out on a side stack look and had to adjust really quickly as Sixers came out in their zone set instead of a traditional person look.
Lyle, far side. Doesn't like the look of Jacobson. Oh, the casual grabs low with one hand I'm not a big fan of, but I tell you what, that is a very exciting disc indeed. Hot pressure, but doesn't manage to prevent the pass. But another travel call is going to bring it straight back.
Zhang going up large for the grab over Dutlinger, but Mason called on a travel once again. We saw Mason round the corner on a previous travel call made by Jakobsen.
And that, yep, so I actually didn't see the travel call. So, no, so I think it's a travel call. What? No, Alyssa. No. I didn't see the travel call, so I have no call. Oh, you retracted? Okay. No.
Yeah, I understood you that you...
Yeah, I think there was a misunderstanding. Okay. So I didn't see it to play, so it's up to you two. Okay. It was. Yep. Okay. It was a big throw. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So we get eyes on that one again. The pivot foot definitely did move. It's just whether it was before or after the release. From that angle, very hard to tell. But it's going to come back because we can't tell, and neither can the players on the field. But such a powerful throw, you can't deny there's a lot of momentum behind that one. So Mason getting us back underway, chooses the shot over the top. Loving the amount of hammers in these low wind conditions here on the field. It is starting to heat up though, and that humidity rising with the stormy action around us, but not near enough to pause these games. Mason, Jacobson charging towards the goal line with hands waiting and open. Lyle around. Zhang. Oh, and that's a huge backhand release. Mason's going to have to track it down, and she does. And that is the goal and the break for Sixers as they advance in this match. I think they're going to have to be the ones probably to take this the way they're currently looking.
We thought it was a Mason to Zhang connection, but instead it's the other way around. Mason doing a great job. Little spike at the end for a little fun for you in the crowd. But really quarterbacking some of those things, eventually getting into the stack and going break side for Zhang for the grab. And there's still time for the Seagulls, but they've had some missed opportunities coming back to bite them now, down 12-9. See if the German side can pull it off.
Well, the call has been sent out from the Canadian himself to the Seagulls of Hamburg. It's only 20 minutes to do it, though. You've got to score 6 versus the Canadians, who only have to put 3 into the box to see themselves sitting pretty at the top of this. Well, they did, of course, come in top seed into this Pool K, the upper power pool in the women's division. And the lower 2 will have to fight to survive, as the lower power pool top finishers will have their opportunity to play in and cross over into the championship bracket. But you can't try and play the format too clever. You just have to win every single game if you want to see yourself with a gold medal at the end. The timing not on that German efficiency what we expect. Talk about delayed flights and planes. The schedules of the public transport in Germany so renowned for being clinical, and that is the offense that the Seagulls need right now. Nothing happening in the backspace. Sprund coming in though, going to work. Oh, you can see they're sitting on the shoulder of the under Ulalan. And a pick, it's going to put it back.
Okay, so stall, contest, coming in under.
So Brun's going to fire it to the far side of the field. Good collection. Oh, these are big old throws, and you can see that one almost tries to cover her head. She's going to think she's almost knocked out by the flying plastic.
Throw a little too zippy and not on the right shoulder as well.
Oh, I tell you what, that is weighted almost picture perfectly for the goal. Ulalan collects and brings her team within 2. Nice to see her on the field after we've seen those tight lines. Sixers now starting to sit back on the cushion.
See the zippy throw and trying to turn around was Förster not able to, and then that inside throw sets things up for the Sixers, and down for the score, Ulalan, and someone who's been actually playing on the second team in Toronto, aptly named Incognito, so they needed the TO somewhere in the name as we see a timeout being called, and Seagulls running out of time a little bit, and the momentum maybe a little too strong for the Sixers right now. That first break that they got really got things going, but then the middle of that, or towards the latter stages of the first half, just Sixers just showing off their might a little bit.
I think it has to come down to the tactical adjustments for the defense here. The Seagulls are looking a little bit lost for options. There have been real moments of quality. Well, like the likes of when they have, sort of basically thrown Svenja Pruns free, or she's just kind of, made it happen for this side. A couple of the shots that worked out earlier stages haven't been so good. The latter part of this game, some of the big shots have kind of overthrown, whereas before it was kind of, almost perfect. But the Sixers have cleaned up their errors. We called them out early stages of this match, but they've been getting their breaks in groups of 3. And we've just seen one. So if we continue the current rhythm, we're going to see a hold for the Seagulls.
The benefits also of this setup is the players are close to us on the sideline, so maybe they can actually hear our saying the breaks come in 3s or things like that, and getting some motivation. As we get some more shots of some of the crowd, we saw Tabby Rosa and Toronto Goat being part of the audience, but of course they got games to play too throughout 5 time slots here at the World Ultimate Club Championships, and just such a great atmosphere, at least for me personally, seeing all the different cultures and nationalities being represented, the different colorful jerseys, the glitter, the glitz and glam of it all.
Oh yes, this is the big stage. You have to come correct. And these teams have. I've been really enjoying talking about the glitter and glam. I said about the glittery headbands of Seagulls, but the matching scrunchie game with the jerseys for Sixers, I'm so here for it. So another zone for us. Olivieri pops over the top. Oh, nearly gets the hand block. Flies into the air, and the disc just, that was bizarre. Almost must be tired. Nesmira Brodalf in the center of the field, not looking at the disc and the thrower. And when you play zone offense, that is something you always must do, because you could be a target at any point as the unit moves around. So Inkinen, though, with the error herself, unable to connect with Tayama Lyle on an immediate throwaway. This is Bizarro.
Bizarro world, and fatigue potentially setting in for both teams. A little errors that you're not used to seeing, and just throws behind. Receivers aren't even looking.
Well, we're nearly going the full stretch for time here. 100-minute game slots, games to 15. Oh, and that's a nice save on the far side. Michelle Ng making sure, showing no concern for her body. And the stall count rising on the far side, and the stall out called by Brodalf. Looks like it's going to be uncontested. The disc on the floor. So the ideal defense there, shutting down every single option on the field. The business is closed, but Kunselman Centering to Olivieri. Raffenberg coming under. Kunzelmann making moves. Oh, it's a nice inside. Hot pressure under, nearly grabs it through, but just slips out of her fingers like a wet eel. And a timeout called from Sixers. Julia Pedem just trying to settle things down here. So we've had 5 turnovers in this point, and we don't want it to become like the opening point for this first half that had a full 10.
And almost, I think, it was probably around 10 minutes of play, it felt like, or even more. And some kind of interesting turnovers here. We see a throw behind Lyle, and then immediately, as the disc gets picked up, a turnover the other direction. And then a stall out on Michelle Ng on the far side. And turnovers piling up for both teams. And Julia Pedem making the call. Rookie on this squad, not a rookie to Ultimate, of course, and deciding to make the veteran maneuver by calling one.
Well, you can say it's a veteran maneuver. Lots of people aren't fans of the live play timeout. But when things are getting sloppy like this, well, I'll tell you what's not sloppy, the sharpness of that flamingo shirt. I'm a big fan of that look.
Coach Jordan Marin deciding not to go with, some coaches like to wear the team jersey. Coach Jordan Marin going with her own style right now.
But when we saw the previous timeout with that really long sloppy point, the 7 on the field were in a really tight, really concise kind of thing. But the rest of the team were just chilling out. They had a little dance party. So I think the vibe of the Sixers, this young team, is that little bit of like fun alongside your frisbee. Not too much serious, keeping things relaxed and calm, because obviously if you have too much tension in your body, it makes it harder to throw. Being loose and able to use that kinetic chain with that whip action, much more effective. So Sixers trying to bring themselves down 1, and there is an absolute diamond of a find in the front of the end zone. Christine Jury-Chuck with her first stat on the board for this game.
Affectionately known as Chuck in the Toronto Ultimate community there. What a play call from the start of that. They isolated Jessie Sang in the break side, bursting into the open side, then going around for the backhand of Jury-Chuck. Feeling a little hot, waving herself with the disc, and now 1 point away from the victory here, and taking a look at the Jumbotron as well. And Seagulls looking at their energy, a couple players heads down, not as much of the dancing and some of the things we saw at halftime for the German side.
And red flag on the sideline. The mixed team having a successful campaign thus far.
Quarters, finalists, potentially semifinals. They're a team to definitely keep an eye out on, along with some of the other top mixed teams. Had a chance to call an Ann Arbor hybrid game yesterday against Winnipeg PBHG, and hybrid looking very strong as well, especially their offensive line.
But if you're a fan of German Ultimate at the moment, I'm sure you're feeling the feels that are flowing through the Seagulls right now. They had some real opportunities in this game to take a real Titan down. The Sixers look so good coming out of pool play, yet to suffer a loss. It's going to be one heck of a comeback if the Germans can do something here to overcome this 5-point deficit, but they're going to try and keep it alive for at least 2 more points if we can. Jakobsen against the zone. The Danish national player who came across and started playing her ultimate in Germany, but it's going to be a turnover and a very short field opportunity. This one for the game. Mason on the bounce. Oh, and it's the break to finish us off. Oh my goodness, look at the score sheet. That is 5 in a row for Sixers in dominant style. The late stages just ended up taking the Seagulls out of the sky. They cast the net and reeled it in.
You mentioned the 5 straight goals and really showing their might. After a topsy-turvy first half, there are things settling in and able to adjust to some of what Seagulls defense was doing, especially that more traditional zone look, really shredding through that as we see the final goal over to Rachel Cook. Celebrating in style as Sixers continuing to show that they're a team to watch out for as we head in to the bracket, quarterfinals, semifinals, and all that good stuff here. And some cheers for both teams here. If you're the Seagulls, 8-6 at half, you had some opportunities even in the second, especially that really long first point out of half. Feeling like, you know, things slipped away from you later on, but happy with the effort. And they're going to have to take on another fiery squad to keep their bracket hopes alive here.
Well, they will be in the crossovers for sure. They carry the loss against Boston Brute squad when they went down 15-6. So a bit of a better performance against Sixers, who are the second seed now in this pool. So it's going to be a fun bit of action for you next on the fields as the teams are warming up behind us. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a matchup between Revolution of Columbia versus Swampy Bog, as we gave a little creds to before. But we'll see some of the highlights from this game if we can, but no. So look at that, 23 turnovers for Seagulls of Germany. The break chances though, even Steven, almost. Just the Canadians so much better at converting. We saw some excitement and some action at the beginning, but towards the latter stages, it was just a touch too much to be had. So coming together on the fields, the Canadians. We're going to get Crystal Dos Santos with some interview action, the elder sister of the Dos Santos pair. Of course, we saw lots of little connections between the two sisters playing on the shortened power lines of this young, feisty Canadian squad. But so enjoyable to see them. So we're going to see Theo on the sidelines with Crystal, with a little bit of a recap of this game.
Here with one of the captains of Sixers, Crystal Dos Santos. Congrats on the victory here, Crystal. It was 8-6 at half, but you were able to score 5 straight points to end the game. What was the key to success there?
Well, our D-line is our fire. Like, whenever they get amped, that's when everything goes great. Like, Liz played an amazing game with some really great layouts, and we had Bear also, again, saving discs back and forth. And we started just kind of watching out for their deep strike by putting someone in that poach and really forcing those unders to be very difficult to make. And so it was that extra pressure that we put on them that I think resulted in a bunch of poach Ds and then some great offense from our D-line to then, you know, get into our flow.
And you just came out of the team huddle. What was the messaging from the captains or from the players in general as you move forward in this tournament? What's sort of the discussion there?
I think we know that we have a bit of a short roster. We have, you know, our other captain, Nico, she has a concussion, so she's not able to play. And we have a bunch of our World Games players who are also not playing. So we have a short roster and lots of games, and we know they're only getting tougher from here. So it really is just a matter of our rookies are stepping up amazingly, and we're so proud of them. And it's just keeping that momentum. Even though these games are going to be tighter, we need to just know that we just have to grind out every little point. Everything's going to be a grind, and we need to be ready for that.
And we know potentially a lot of fans from back home watching from Toronto. Anything you want to say to some of the players that aren't here right now and the fans back home in Toronto?
I know they're all watching. I hope you guys are proud of us. I hope you're proud of our rookies, because I really think they've stepped it up. Like, Michelle had a great layout grab in that game too, and our rookies are playing some great offense, even on the D-line.
Congrats to you on the win, and wish you the best of luck heading into the rest of this tournament. Hannah, back up to you.
Well, wonderful scenes there. The Canadians on the rise in this game as we see the fans in the stands enjoying the action. The Tabby Rosa Florida team over there. But this was such an exciting match, such a weird rhythm to us to get used to, but some quality plays from both sides. It was anyone's up until that long 10 turnover second half opening point, but it was all large in charge for the Sixers by the end. This copyright 2022 World Flying Disc Federation footage. But well done to the Sixers of Canada, finishing this one out 15-9.
Cincinnati, Ohio, the home of the 2022 World Ultimate Club Championships. We got power pool action in the women's division between Columbia Revolution and Japan's Swampy Barg. Theo Wan here with Claire Babbitt. Brian, we're excited for a matchup of undefeated teams. Both teams are ready to go. And what are you expecting in this matchup?
Thanks, Theo. Yes, we are going to have a great game ahead of us. I mean, two really strong teams, both coming from different non-North American countries here today. And we're going to expect out of Revolution they're going to use their height advantage against the Japanese team, and they're also going to be looking to swing the disc a lot and force the Japanese team to not do what they want to do. And then from Swampy Barg, we have a team of a lot of younger players who are excited to show up and force Revolution to play a game that Revolution doesn't want to play.
And that's going to be tough with Revolution having many World Games players from Columbia in action. So we get to see two very talented teams. A great matchup here for you at 3 p.m. Thank you for tuning into the stream. And we're going to get a look at the pools as well. And from pool play, look at the teams at the top of the standings.
Yes, here we have, Revolution taking the top of Pool B, and they cruised through for the most part, Theo, as well as these next four pools here, where we see Swampy Barg at the top of Pool H here, also 4-0, having a little bit more difficulty, letting Iris score 11, as well as the Pangolins scoring 11 yesterday against them. So I think that we're going to have a really great matchup today. I think, honestly, it's up to Japan forcing Revolution to not play the game that this superstar cast can play.
Yeah, speaking of superstar cast for Revolution, added a couple players that you may have heard of, in Mish Phillips, who played the World Games with Australia, as well as Livka Volchuk, who was breaking out as a star there for Germany. So adding those two players along with the already strong players that you have as we get a look at Phillips. Claire Chastain, another name on the roster, but you will not see Chastain in action here today. But Revolution still very talented, of course, and got a little dancing in before the game. You had a good chance to look at that.
Not only did I look, but I joined in a bit. and I can't say I had quite the rhythm in my step that a lot of these Revolution players had, but it is a lot of fun here. There is great energy on both sides of the field. I think everyone's just excited for a good game.
Pull going off from Mosquera, who's known for that as we get things going for Swampy Barg. And person defense here from Revolution to start things off. Kobayama on this close side. And a big hug going up for Japan. And knocked away by Revolution, the first turnover of the game. Manuela Cardenas with the block. Now we get a look at the Revolution defensive line here. See what they can provide. Cardenas going to power up a backhand, going to the far side of the field to Mosquera. Runs into the end zone, so not in quite yet. Has Phillips, and that's how Revolution gets this game started. A big, powerful backhand huck. Then a little flick flip over to Phillips, and that's 1-0.
You know, it is looking like Revolution is here to play, obviously, but I think that Swampy Barg is going to need to, I think, rein it in a bit, because the deep defenders on Revolution, I mean, obviously we got Cardenas with that huge D, and then for immediate backhand huck to Mosquera. So I think strategically it might be in Swampy Barg's best interest to focus on the shorter game, work it up a bit, and get their confidence under their belt.
And also, if you're going to huck it, do some of the things that we've seen before from teams that maybe don't have the height advantage, or some athletes that are really out there in the deep space, is slicing it to places that the defenders aren't. And that's something we'll have to keep an eye on as well. And so a couple of the same players back on the field. See Yuuka Kobayama out there, a handler who's been at the Nippon Sports Science University, number 86, back on the field as well for the Swampy Barg side. A good matchup of styles, two non-North American teams, as you talked about off the top. So giving the world some different matchups and teams to watch here, and wherever you're joining from, thank you for tuning in. I'm sure in some place it's going to be morning, and an early one for that, as the pull goes out of bounds and giving Swampy Barg the brick mark to work with. Going deep was Koke, but they're going to settle back in. Mitsuyama and flick to this close side, and seems like there are cutters going deep for Swampy Barg, but maybe they're listening to your advice, settling underneath for a little bit here. Kobayama now inside throw to Mitsuyama, and that edge leading out. Doorstep of the end zone. And there it is for Swampy Barg, so they get the hold that they needed and settle things down.
You know, I think that with Swampy Barg here today, we will be seeing a bit of a younger team out of Japan. I mean, we have 4 teams all from Japan in the women's division: Huck, Mud, and Mavericks here as well. And right before this, 2 rounds ago for the 11 a.m. game, we had a great matchup against Mavericks versus Mud, where Mavericks did take the lead. So we're seeing, again, another younger Japanese team, which is incorporating some more hucking, more downfield threats compared to the more traditional Japanese style of play that we know.
And for Tokyo being such a large city, being able to field all these teams just bodes well for the talent there in that city and throughout the country, as Revolution's offensive line going to get an opportunity. Tie score here early on, of course, in this power pool matchup. Tuesday here at the World Ultimate Club Championships in Cincinnati, Ohio. That pull going to sail out of bounds. Valeria Cardenas, the other Cardenas sister, to pick up, and a poach look here from Japan, and it goes to the break side. Quick disc movement here. Back to Cartagena and Torres.
Interesting defensive positioning that we can see here from Swampy Barg, looking like a bit of a poachy look for the most part, but still remaining tight in a person matchup, tight enough.
Huck going up. Defender stumbling a little bit. Two hands, strong. Carolina Angel makes the grab.
Just such beautiful timing there on that away cut, right into the hands, right over the defender. I mean, great pressure there from Sakaura, but not enough, because we are seeing, I mean, with a right hand flick like Valeria has, it is a pretty tough thing to match up against.
Coming into today, not including the game to play previously, 13 assists, so really racking things up for Revolution. You expect nothing less from the Cardenas sisters and Valeria, as Swampy Barg getting their offensive line back out on the field. And they had a hiccup on, of course, their first offensive point, but now things, at least temporarily for that second offensive point, we're holding out for them. See what they do on this one. Mascara pulling once again for the Revolution squad in the pink jerseys. Also participating as Revo Pro in the Premier Ultimate League, but just Revolution here at the World Ultimate Club Championships. This one back in the middle of the field here for Swampy Barg Kodama. Big fakes coming, but instead goes to the reset space. Kodama gonna put out a flick. Two players in the area, but can't get there. And now Swampy Barg out to the races. Manuela Cardenas on the mark. Slicing a flick just too far for the receiver. Mitsuyama trying to make a play there, but instead it's a turnover. Very talented Volchuk working in the backfield right now. And a snag to save things for Revolution. And there was a receiver going deep. Mascara going to put a low huck up, and it's going to find its way to the turf.
Looking at a turn apiece for both teams here. Swampy Barg really looking to get this hold. They were working it up really well, and then closer to the end zone, we saw, I'm not sure if it was some nerves in the end zone or a miscommunication or just a missed throw, but we'll see what they can do right now.
Mascara bouncing up and down on the mark, doing jumping jacks. Trying to throw out some of the throwers from Swampy Barg here. Thought about the huck, and instead is going to keep it going onto that far side. Kodama. Looking like for the inside flick, instead goes for a flick across the field. Kodama makes a player fall down. That being Cardenas, and Swampy Barg gets the hold, keeping things at 2 apiece.
This is a really fun style that we're seeing right now from Swampy Barg. They are patiently looking for the downfield big looks. So it's this balance of having that, patience to wait for the downfield, but then still connect with the larger throw. Here we're going to see a couple turns, and then finally Swampy Barg able to convert on that dishy. Each score we've seen today has been the result of a little backhand dishy.
And even the way that Swampy Barg's holding the disc, really just holding in that just cocked back in almost like a get ready to huck at any moment, but also can quickly resettle it into a reset. So lots of options there for them. Revolution now having to deal with the zone look here. From Swampy Bargain, snagged down. A little give and go action here for Revolution as they make their way to the far side. Perhaps a couple too many steps there as the travel is called. Ferrero perhaps taking too many. Little blade over to Torres, who's very unmarked here. Valeria going over the top and not able to come down with it, but a great blade attempt across the field.
I loved the vision there, but I think it was a really cool decision for Swampy Barg to remain in their zone look. Oftentimes, you see teams crumbling into person defense once it gets into the hot red zone, but Swampy Barg noticed that there wasn't the deep threat of that space down there and able to kind of create this impossible wall that forced that throw.
Huck going up and snagged down. Angel getting things moving, and once again that quick movement from Revolution. Talked about Swampy Barg, Claire, wanting to make things uncomfortable for this Colombian side. And the zone look perhaps doing so even close to their own end zone. And while keeping things moving. Working through quickly, stopping, and there it is. A little give and go, and Revolution gets it.
Torres and Cardenas there taking control in the handler space. You know, those little dishes up the field are so hard to stop because they can move so fast together, but also are able to make the throw as hard to tap in the in-between space. So there we see that unideal throw in the far end zone, really hard throw to connect with, and then that downfield look that was taken off by Colombia.
Sanchez reels it in, and just so hard to stop when you're moving it so quickly. And loving the camera angles that we can provide here on this production. If you love what we're doing, make sure you get others to come and subscribe and check out the coverage of the World Ultimate Club Championships. So much more action to come, even some 5 o'clock games coming at you from lovely Cincinnati, Ohio.
Revolution's D-line here, looking to get a second break of the day.
Swampy Barg settling things down a little bit after kind of a shakier start, especially given that break, but a couple offensive holds and getting things moving. Great concentration. Phillips on the mark, guarding Koke. Bit into the back there, comes up empty. And perhaps an injury called on that as well. As Montana
it looked like
coming up there, limping.
Looked like Montaña trying to get that defensive bid there. Landed on her knee a bit, that left knee. Hope it's just a bit of a bruise. She'll be back.
Just some discussion here as we wait for play to get started. Valeria Cardenas discussing it with the coach, Mauricio Moore, of where it should be. Now a game advisor getting involved as well.
Looks like they were able to settle on an agreement there with a big look from Kodama. Unable to connect. I mean, hitting Mosquera in her territory, that is a hard look.
Mosquera playing great defense there, deep defense specifically, and Revolution trying to get that second break. Good swing out here. He's moving back to the middle of the field, almost near the WFDF symbol. And that throw and go continues to happen for this Medellin squad. Full check now. Things settling and going backhand around to her sister. And all the way to Mosquera for the score. And that's some efficient offense, or D-line offense, and a little bookends action for Elizabeth Mosquera.
Oh, just such a smooth, buttery swing there. It is just these every single throw, you just see the precision, and not only and first here we have this, look at that deep defense by Mosquera, getting up to deny that deep look, and then just a gorgeous throw to space, no defenders in sight. We're gonna see Revolution using their height difference there with Mosquera in the deep space, as well as some other really strong deep defenders. And Swampy Bark nonetheless ready to hit those throws.
They've shown already that they have a propensity to try to go for those hucks or trying to blade them through specifically. So Swampy Bark back out here on offensive line, and definitely don't want this lead to balloon too much. Of course, a showdown of two Titans here in this tournament, with both teams being undefeated. Rolling pole gets picked up. Swampy Bark gonna have to deal with a zone look here from Columbia. Mata centers the disc, and things moving perhaps to the open side. And we hear some shouts from the silent indicating it's going into perhaps a person look, but still see some zone set going, and them just kind of echoing and cheering on their defense here as the backhand goes up. Will it be towed in? It is, but some players ruling it out of bounds right close to the area. Haviv being one of them.
That was a pretty close call there. It looked like she might have had her right foot in and her left foot out. Not sure which one made contact with the ground first when she stopped rotation of the disc.
Sakakura being involved in the discussion here.
See if we can see on this replay. You know, Theo, it looked to me like that right foot was the first that made contact.
From my perspective, it was out. The replay also shows it was out. Do with that information what you will. So, okay. So from my perspective, it was out. The replay also shows it was out, so it should be a turnover here.
Getting one more look at it, of course, with the great production crew making things happen, and right foot clearly stepping out.
A pretty clear view. If you can also watch the replay,
still to be had.
It has been some time. I think it's your call still.
Looks like an official turnover.
And the rain's starting to come down here in Cincinnati. And a turnover from Revolution. This is still an offensive point here for Swampy Bark. Big fake there from Ikeda. Iheda, excuse me. So in that end zone set, Iheda, big flick fake. Can she get the toes in? She does, and Swampy Bark gets the score. A little fancy footwork there for Swampy Bark.
Unreal, Theo. Did you see the way? I mean, that if it was just caught regularly would have been at least a couple feet out of the end zone. But that field awareness to just toe the line like that, get that. Oh my God. That is commitment.
Commitment to taking down some of the momentum of Revolution right now. Iweoka, who has previously played for a team in North America, Madison Heist, and has played for the U23 team multiple times, getting involved. And a little fancy footwork as well.
Starting to see some misty rain come down on this field.
Talked about in the previous game how the clouds were looking a little ominous, and now rain starting to eventually trickle down here onto the fields.
Hopefully it doesn't get too swampy out there.
Swampy Bark perhaps hoping to, because of their name, making it kind of a swampy game, that rain and ticky-tack back and forth.
That could be an 8th defender.
Snagged down by Torres, continue moving things over to Cartagena. That's Olo trying to stop this quick disc movement from Revolution, but they're content to work it up that far sideline. And a great layout. Swampy Bark getting things moving on their defense. Flying in was Sato Hikari.
And an overthrow. That was a tougher throw than I think Yahata had anticipated there with that cut.
Cartagena milking as many yards as possible here to try to get this hold for Revolution. And the pick is called as some of the people close to Cartagena getting involved in that one. Swampy Bark making that explosive layout play, but a turnover apiece here on this offensive point.
So check stalling 3? Yeah.
Swampy Barg's D-line offense looking a little bit jumbled there. Maybe some miscommunications about positioning downfield, resulting in that turnover, which probably shouldn't have been a turnover. There wasn't much defense in sight there, but nonetheless, here we go.
Look at that give and go movement. Cardenas going inside for Torres, and Torres thinking it was for somebody else. And another turnover from Revolution.
Cardenas with a rare turn. One of the best, maybe the best throwers in the world. Let's take another look at an offensive D-line from Swampy Bark.
A couple players going deep for Swampy Bark. Inoue comes, makes the catch, looking like going blade or flick across the field. Instead, holsters it for now. Inside shot, and there it is to Sato, who made the flying block earlier. Bookends for Swampy Bark, and we got a tie game.
Now that was a great break by Swampy Bark. It was looking for a second there with Columbia's O-line so close to the end zone, unable to connect. A rare miscommunication from the Torres-Valaria connection that we know so well. And Swampy Bark able to make that completion.
You mentioned the rain as the 8th defender and getting things swampy. Maybe that's their little tagline there to motivate their team as they push forward in this contest. Get a great look at the coach, one of the founders of this program. as Revolution started there in 2004. And a great look at the fans out here in the audience, braving the rain and the elements to cheer on the team that they're excited to be here for, and see some members of one of the Colombian teams there.
Don't have to be too brave, though. I mean, it is still warm out here. The rain is quite delicate. It's more of a mist at this point, and it's not too big of a risk to stand in these elements for a game like this.
We get a little top shelter up here, so we're cooled off a little bit right now in terms of from the rain. As Revolution's offensive line, similar suspects back out there, and Swampy Bar going more person here. Torres powers the flick to Volchuk. 2 defenders potentially there, but Torres rips the flick down, the same third for the score.
Volchuk, quite a asset. Not only one of the biggest names in German Ultimate right now, but also a big name worldwide, as we saw her unbelievable performance at the World's Games. And we will be seeing a lot more of her as well.
Torres previously playing for Riot as well, and kind of a quiet on the stat sheet in terms of coming into this day with only 2 assists, but we know as the tournament moves forward, Torres is going to be a very important part of this team.
Some might say that Volchuk is a pickup, but she's actually been playing with Revolution for quite a while. She was with them at Worlds, I believe, last round, and same with Mish Phillips. I mean, we're talking about having some Worlds Games players from 2 different countries joining for this game right here, with Chastain to be an addition later in this week. But they aren't pickups. They are part of the family.
Had a chance to call a game with War out of Venezuela, and that was a sentiment as well, the second family for those teams involved. Phillips potentially getting there, but relents and says, I did foul you, and play continues. Cloquet slicing a flick, Mosquera comes down with a block. Another one in this contest.
Break attempt here for Colombia. Manu with the disc.
Mosquera had bookends earlier, but right now behind the frisbee, and a big flick from Cardenas. Phillips trying to get it with the left hand and even toe the line as well, but having a lot to deal with.
Loved the idea by Manu there to have that big OI flick swing to the other side of the field with the reliable hands of Phillips there, but it was just, I think, a little too much time for Swampy Bark to get under the disc and contest it, especially with the sideline as another threat.
Handler's being a little bit stagnant out here for Swampy Bark, forcing a high stall throw, and that's going to settle into the distance. Not much happening from the handler set there.
No, this point is looking a little bit sloppy on both sides, neither of the turns being because of a defensive play, though both at high stall counts. So we're seeing some pressure from downfield defense on both sides.
Nice close line in Montaigne. Well, Cardenas surveying things before getting it back to the aforementioned Montaigne. And Revolution, at least in the first few points, very content to work things to the open side and just continuing to chisel down that area. Get it back to the middle of the field now. And a player falling down here for Swampy Bark, perhaps an injury being called, or a pick, excuse me.
Lots of handler movement here by Colombia. Content to just be working it through their handler sets. Manu getting involved a lot, waiting for the downfield to open up.
couple players having fallen down now, and you know the grass probably getting a little bit slipperier with the weather the way it is. Phillips two-hand snag to be sure of it. Continuing the backhand, and there it is for Revolution.
For the score, Manu Cardenas with another swing all the way to that break side. I think they're so good at making it look easy, getting that swing across, and then finding that timing to open up the other side of the end zone. But it's a really difficult thing to do, and it involves a couple break looks. Just so impressive.
Showing a little love as well with throwing up the number to the camera, and love to see that energy here as it is a break for
yes.
Revolution, and now holding a 6-4 advantage.
They are up 2 breaks total. And got a chance to talk with Mauricio Moore before this game today. They are looking to shake things up with some of their D-lines. They have 2 different D-line strategies. One meant to play very tight defense, the other meant to poach off a bit in an attempt to confuse Swampy Barg, force them to throw some throws that they might not want to do. So let's see what can happen right now with Mascara's huge pull far into the end zone for Swamp.
And a bit more of that zone look. See one of Revolution's players, Camila Botero, even turning around and not even really looking at the disc. Eventually things get swung to this close side. Volchuk coming up empty on the bid attempt, but great effort. Hamada thought about it and now goes reset. Inoue. Little dishy move. We talked about those dishies earlier for some scores, and seeing that here in the backfield. Inoue trying to quarterback things here. Number 15 for Swampy Barg now moves downfield. Out for space. Not in quite yet, and there it is for Swampy Barg. That's what you want to see. You get the smooth hold after giving up a break previously. Ikeda finds Hamada for the grab.
Ikeda, second assist of the day. Someone to certainly be looking out for. And we've been seeing a lot also of Inui, who is one of the top statistic demons of this team, with 8 assists and 6 goals coming into this game. Big bid by Volchek, leading into a lot of open space downfield.
Yeah, sometimes Volchek did get up early enough to kind of set the mark, but sometimes what happens, especially in a zone look, you've probably seen this in your times as a player, someone comes up empty, and then the zone offense kind of breaks out here as we get a look at Ikeda, number 87, with 2 goals already.
I tell you what, Theo, I'm excited to see this defensive line and what they come out with right now for Swamp. It is clear that they have a lot in them, a lot of energy and fuel, and they are determined.
Same goes for Revolution on the sideline, doing a little dance for the offense there, and love the unity of their offensive line when they get out there, hands together before the pole goes up. Swampy Barg wanted gumming things up with 3 players in the cup. Ikeda out there once again. So we see double duty for a few players. Hamada as well, who was involved in the last point. Torres had a big flick assist earlier with the Huck. Going to be definitely working in the backfield with Cartagena as they try to power through the zone look. Revolution doing a great job being patient right now as Torres in power position elects to continue moving it forward. Swampy Barg still staying in their zone set. Big grab there, keeps possession for the Colombian side. Cartagena not knowing Torres was behind her and then collects the disc. Just continuing to move side to side for Revolution as they try to push downfield right now and get this hold. Nice little break around to Torres. That cup staying intact here for Swampy Barg, despite some give and go movement from the Colombian side.
Just watching how smoothly Cardenas is able to work through this zone. They do not look intimidated right now, though they do look a little bit impatient. Downfield glances, lots of fakes, trying to find the openings that Swampy Barg is not allowing for.
Sometimes players do get impatient in this kind of set, having to throw so many throws, but Cardenas just directing traffic, not even looking at the disc right now as it was in the hands of Torres.
Telling her teammates to come help, come help. They're struggling a bit. They've moved the disc back about 30 feet, and there you go. There's a timeout for Revolution with the disc in the center of the field. Swampy Barg has a lot to be proud of with that defensive set. I mean, coming in and forcing that many passes, especially now that the disc is a bit slippery, the ground is a bit slippery. We're seeing not the easiest conditions to be playing Frisbee in. So, really smart call. You know, what they're doing is really forcing wide throws. So they're allowing for the small handler dishes with this defensive look, but in a way that is forcing Revolution to not have many downfield looks. You know, taking away those inside flicks, nothing downfield not available, at least not available enough for Colombia to feel confident with. Looks like Revolution might have a couple strategic changes that they want to employ coming out of this timeout. Valeria clearly a bit frustrated.
It was Ferrero who made the timeout call, number 96 there on your screen. And you mentioned that Valeria was, we talked about, just ushering teammates to come back forward and maybe trying to adjust that zone offense. And it results in a block right now for Swampy Barg. Iwaoka, chance to tie up this game right now. That zone defense working out perfectly for Swampy Barg.
And that's a break caught by Ikeda for a goal. Wow, what a look from Swampy Barg. That is their second break, and we have ourselves a game, Theo.
We absolutely do. Rain and all here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Swampy Barg fired up, and Ikeda was responsible for 2 assists so far, but gets herself on the board for the goal. Iwaoka with the block there, coming in, swooping in past Luisa Sanchez, and then they were off to the races at that point.
Such quick and impressive transition from defense to offense as well by Japan there to take not even a second of hesitation before causing that run through D and pushing downfield for a quick score.
You mentioned the frustrations of a point like that, and then having to play defense right away with a very quick Swampy Barg offense that's just trying to push the pace. That can wear a lot on you mentally as well.
Definitely. It is an endurance zone in that you're asking the offense to throw a lot of throws, which is tiring both on the body and on the mind, having to be constantly making decision after decision treating it like a chess match.
And now instead, Swampy Bar coming in person defense, throwing another wrinkle in that chess match you mentioned there, Claire. Ferrero bringing it back to Torres. Over to Cartagena. Continuing over to the break side to Cardenas. Cardenas going to power afflict a Volchuk. Ferrero also there. But instead, it's the sister Manuela coming down with it instead. And Revolution needed that one to ease some of that Swampy Bar momentum.
Some sister-to-sister telepathy there. Just a rip from Valeria. As much as Sakaura could try there, getting her hand in, there was no chance for a defensive look. I mean, just the quality of that throw, it's perfect. Maybe you can call it what you want. You can call it strategic analysis, you can call it fangirling. I'll try to be chill about it. These are just my childhood heroes.
And not only for you, but I'm sure for a lot of people in the audience, players that they've grown up watching and just, to pardon the pun, revolutionizing the game here in Colombia, providing opportunities for female matching players to participate in that country, and then going on to play a lot of international tournaments and, of course, in the Premier Ultimate League semi-professionally as well.
Absolutely. You know, we're seeing it is revolutionary, and it is like multi-generational as well. I mean, Torres has been playing for over 2 decades, and that is the same age as the Cardenas sisters. So this is a generational handoff, and clearly something that is a long time program looking to change the global game of Frisbee as we see the disc centered for Swamp.
Obama looking downfield, instead goes reset, and things continue to move for Swampy Bar. After giving up that quick hold, you want to power yourself to a smooth hold of your own. Maybe not in 2 or 3 throws, but working it down the field.
Looks like a pick call downfield. And talking with Mauricio Moore before this game, he said that their priority is coming out really strong for a first half and winning the first half at whatever it takes. That is, he said, whether it goes to Galaxy. I appreciated that Galaxy Point is being adopted as a term even by our very own Mauricio Moore.
Fakes the inside, instead goes to it and a layout to save possession. Faking the around is Harumuma. Adama going inside, and Mascara comes away, swooping in for another block. Many she's had in her career.
Mascara making it look easy, maybe, but that was just unbelievable positioning there to come for that run through D. You didn't see her coming until the very end. Break attempt here for Revo.
Montaigne had gone deep, but instead gets a huge under gainer. Going for that 2-break lead at half. Phillips with the 2 hands. Checking in on the player as well, making sure that the Swampy Bar defender is okay. Revolution slowly jogging on the field to celebrate the 2-break advantage. As Swampy Bar started on, so eerily similar to the game we had earlier between the Sixers and Seagulls. A team able to get the advantage with 2 goals and then also having to start on offense.
A really strong half showing for both teams here. It is still anyone's game. We have 2 breaks from Swampy Bar, 3 breaks from Colombia. Both have proven that they can show the other team's star O-line how it's done defensively with different strategies.
Right now, Columbia Revolution up on Swampy Bar from Japan, 8-6.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play.
Athletic pursuit.
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
That there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
Pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Halftime action between Revolution and Swampy Bark, or excuse me, halftime right now, 8-6 the score. Right now we have the third member of our broadcast team, Katie Killebrew, down on the sidelines with a member of Swampy Bark.
I'm here with Captain Minari. What were the keys to that first half?
Our first half was to know how they're playing today and to adjust our defense and offense to go over them. But at the first half, we couldn't adjust ourselves enough. So, yeah.
So some strategic talk that's going to happen at halftime. What are you looking to do in the second half?
Well, I guess our that's our being too scared of them. We know that Revolution is a great team, so we just have to trust ourselves again, and we'll do what we have to do.
Play with no fear in this second half. Are there fans that you have at home or people you want to talk to in your community? I know it's very late there.
Yes, there are. It's maybe 4 or 5 in the morning. But yeah, I hope they're watching and be excited with our games.
Very good. Have fun with the rest of your team. Good luck in this second half. I'm going to send it back to you in the booth.
Thanks, Katie, as we get a good look at what Swampy Bark wants to do here, and hearing from Minori Yahata, and getting now a look at Revolution's sideline. Revolution trying to push the pedal to the metal here in the second half as they're up 8-6.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined. A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
a place where we remember to laugh,
where we learn to trust,
learn to high-five strangers, and eventually even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Getting a great look at Swampy Bark out of Japan. They're trailing 6-8, but we got a great game for you in this power pool matchup as they take on Revolution from Colombia. And Theo Wan here with Claire Babbitt, Brian Claire. Revolution getting a couple breaks now, getting to start on offense. What does Swampy Barg need to do right now to kind of turn things around and keep that momentum going as we take a look at the stats as well?
You know, looking at these stats, both teams have had really strong first halves. Where we see the biggest difference is in breaks and break chances. Revolution with 7 break chances and only giving up 4 break chances to Swampy Barg. So I think the biggest thing that we need to see next half is for the D-line offense on Swampy Barg to be able to convert when the turns are given, because Revo will give turns few and far between. They are hard to come by, and you have to work for them. And then on Revo's part, I think just stepping up a bit more. I think they have more in them, and I think that they've had a couple sloppy looks, to be completely honest, that I think that if they clean up, they are going to be an even stronger team.
We mentioned at the top of this broadcast, both teams being undefeated. Revolution taking out Nemesis earlier today, 15-9. And Swampy Barg taking out Iris out of Japan, out of Canada, 15-11. As things ready to go here in this matchup, and a travel call. Torres going to walk it back. And person defense, at least for right now, for Swampy Barg. Need some options, going to go across the field. And now back into the hands of Ferrero. Just the pace that Revolution loves to play in. Just always quick and wanting to attack downfield. Using some of those lateral passes to be able to accomplish that goal. Going around, not in the end zone quite yet. Great little shimmy move from Cartagena. We'll get the 9th point of the game for Revolution, but there is some discussion, so we won't crown it just yet.
Cartagena, another big name we're seeing here, just able to secure the disc. I don't know if her first foot was in or if it was on the line. I couldn't quite tell there, but a very nice away cut nonetheless. Seems like she might be calling it in. We're seeing, you know, by the time she stopped rotation there, it did seem like her foot was in, and I'm not sure if Saori Inoue feels the same. This coming in right on the line.
Cartagena then eventually finds her teammate in the end zone. That's Maria Ferrero for the score.
A point? Okay, fine. I'll just do an assist instead. You know, Cartagena is a powerhouse, obviously, for Colombia. Her teammate, Guerrero, number 3 on Colombia, actually when asked who her sporting hero was, said Gina Cartagena, who is the smartest player I have ever seen play. Her leadership and her discipline inspires me every day. She is not the fastest nor the strongest, but her smartness overcomes. She is, without a doubt, the more complete player I have ever met. So really kind words from Guerrero there for teammate Gina, who is a powerhouse with that assist right there. And Swampy Barg needing to answer back on offense now. Coming out with a lot of energy, but needing to get a hold if they want to stay in this.
Yeah, of course, there is game left, Claire. It's not over just yet, but a 4-point deficit in ultimate can be very difficult to come back from. So for Swampy Barg, these holds are important, as you mentioned. Pole settling in and just outside that left front cone. Little vertical stack look and a turnover immediately. Kobayama not finding her intended target. Falchuk gets it under some pressure. And before she can hit Cardenas, there's a pick called.
Volchek and Manu, known for their chemistry so far in this tournament also. Lots of assists to points from that pair, whose style of play just melds so well together.
Now Cardenas going give go with Mosquera. And then finding the aforementioned Volchek. And they're starting to power, and I mean power, this D-line offense. A second goal for Volchek in this game. And Swampy are going to have to look for some answers right now, down 4 goals.
Yeah, that is a break for Revolution, coming out of half and scoring 2 in a row. First a hold, now a break. Seeing this turnover for Swampy Barg, which wasn't even forced. And then for the continued to the score, Volchek in the end zone, Mosquera with the dish. Oh, and a little winky yes from Volchek. What a smile.
And taking a look on the left side of our vantage point is Revolution's offensive line having some discussion while the defensive line was just out and talking on the field. So like to see that they're focusing not just on this game and cleaning things up, but for the rest of this tournament, as we get a look at Elizabeth Mosquera, an assist, 2 blocks, and a goal. And this team is one that many people pencil in as a potential, not just making it to the finals, but winning this whole thing.
Absolutely, and I think that is their aspiration. Obviously, this game is what matters to them, and it is what is on their minds. But, of course, you can't not be thinking about the rest of the week here, too, with powerhouse roster and a team that has been playing with each other for so long, and a program that has been built by Mauricio Moore, among others, to sustain for a long time. Here we have Swampy Barg on offense.
We want to increase that performance from 2018 where they were close, and just want to continue trending things up for this program. Looking things off right there was Mitsuyama. And unmarked, just sliding into the end zone.
With style, we have Akari Aruma. Oh, my bad. That is Saori Inui again with now a goal in addition to her assist earlier, making it 10-7, a much-needed hold. You know, that Revolution defense there did not seem to be as tight as we've seen it throughout the rest of the game. What do you think happened?
Maybe they were trying to force that turnover, as you mentioned, a couple different D lines where they were one maybe trying to poach off or things like that. So perhaps, you know, sometimes a blown assignment as well, as we see right close to our vantage point, Mauricio Moore talking to some of the D team, the D squad out there.
Taking a look at the crowd here for a bit. People nourishing themselves with good food and good frisbee as we transition into this next O point for Revolution.
We've said it before, and we're going to say it again. A zone look here from Swampy Barg, trying to gummy things up, taking away the speed and athleticism of Revolution, make them become more throwers than using their legs to power them with these give-go looks. And even despite that, it's still happening in the zone. Look at the movement here from Revolution. Perhaps a couple steps, though. We've seen Ferrero be called for that before. And when you're going so fast, sometimes you don't even know if you're getting those 3 steps or those things, and some players will just call the travel.
Kind of almost looks like air hockey with the way that the disc is just going so smoothly, bouncing across from hands to trusting hands in this zone O.
It's a good depiction of what is happening on the field right now for the Colombian side. Cartagena goes backhand fake, finds Cardenas. And things continue to ping pong from there. Couple 2-foot passes, they're okay with that. As this zone stays in its set right now, even towards their own end zone. And Ferrero comes up with the grab. Second of the game and a smooth hold for Revolution.
That is a really great depiction of how to move through a zone. It was clear that earlier in this game, that zone was more difficult for Revolution to understand and then work through. But you know what they say, the more an offense can play against a zone, the easier it becomes, because you're getting reps, seeing how to find the open looks, and then dishing. We see a beautiful pivot, just almost a box out that allows for that backhand dish to Ferrero in the end zone there, who's having a great game, and we're seeing her with a lot of touches. 2 goals, and she's in the handler space so much, working with Valeria, working with Torres to dish all those fast, quick throw-and-goes that are so hard to cover.
You mentioned the frustrations earlier from the offensive line, that they seem to clean that up as we get a little, maybe a team mascot out there watching. Seen a couple pets out in the audience, not too many, but seen a lot more colorful jerseys, if anything. And it's just a great part of what this World's Tournament is all about. As Swampy Bark coming out in a vertical stack. And Revolution electing to go with a traditional person defense to counteract it. Going deep. They had an option, but instead they go to the break side. Big backhand fake for Mitsuyama. Needs a reset now with the stall count getting a little bit higher and trying to direct some traffic, and does find a reset. But there may be a stall call here. Looks like there is, I can see from the game advisor on the far side.
Mitsuyama with the disc initially there, clearly a bit frustrated with her teammates, telling them to clear out.
Translator, please.
Getting a translator up in here to help out with the communicating. One thing that we really love about this game is how multilingual this whole tournament is.
And it's just the love of Ultimate that brings these teams together. I know a lot of these teams, both of these teams, of course, having aspirations to move through the bracket. Some, you know, have that same aspiration, but maybe have been knocked out and playing for the love of the game and with their friends.
I didn't stop my watch.
Looking like a stall call that might have been contested. Yes, contested stall. Coming in here.
Stalling 8.
Coming in at 8 for Swampy Bark. Only 2 seconds to find an open teammate. That is not much. So we'll see what Ayumi Mitsuyama decides there. Oh, quick dish back.
Big lefty flight coming, brought in by Inoue. And now the slicing inside flick. And another flick, this time it's cross field.
Too far for the connection, though. A lovely idea opening up that end zone space.
Manuela, with a couple shimmy fakes. And now going the cross field in her own right to Volchuk, with Phillips bursting deep and Mosquera in power position, but instead goes reset. Thinking otherwise at that point.
I don't know about you, but I was ready for her to yeet that one.
We'll give and go. Volchuk working with Rojas. And slowly inching towards a break after getting a smooth hold on the previous point. This point a little bit longer with some calls and some things like that, where Swampy Bark still out here playing defense now with their offensive line. Now needs a reset and does find Mosquera. Manuela Cardenas going around, but it gets knocked away. That could have saved the game for Swampy Bark. Don't want to go down 5 at this juncture.
Absolutely not. Another break for Revolution would have been not ideal for Swampy Bark there. Really great defensive play from Japan. Not giving up in the end zone. And Phillips, with her speed, is a really difficult person to defend.
We see Swampy Bark with no reset in the backfield right now. 6 players in the area, or at least downfield, excuse me. And they do get still on the sideline though. Does find an option. We'll see if they can actually work it off of this sideline right now. Great pressure defense from Revolution. Powering up the back end. Mosquera is there, Volchuk. And they both jump up. They don't touch the disc, but causing Nakamura to go up early as well. And that results in a turnover as Revolution trying to get this break once again. Their second opportunity, and another travel called, this time on Volchuk.
Loved the really quick transition though from that defensive pressure into a quick dish on offense in order to create momentum for this potential break for Revolution.
High stall count of their own. What a find to Mish Phillips. Volchuk trying to milk in the end zone, does not do so. Just mere inches away. And goes with a cheeky throw to Phillips, and things starting to pile up for Swampy Bark with the turnovers, and Revolution taking advantage. But what vision there for that throw.
Cheeky throw and cheeky smiles here from Columbia as they take another break, just that much closer to a great position in the power pool.
They're trying to get first in the power pool, give themselves some easier matchups into the bracket. Of course, both teams will be avoiding the play-in by virtues of their victories so far. So they'll get into the round of 16, but you want to draw a certain matchup so that you just makes things a little bit easier for you. And with this lead, be interesting to see what resistance Swampy Bark puts up if they can notch a couple of breaks as we get a look at Mish Phillips from Australia, 3 goals and an assist. And we'll see if Mauricio Moore decides to empty the bench out a little bit more, if we see some players get some rest. We've seen a few of them play multiple points in a row, so we'll get those questions answered as the game continues.
I think that's exactly it. And we're seeing a little bit of a different D-line coming in for Revolution, cycling in a couple new players. As we were saying earlier, Mauricio Moore's defensive strategy for this game has been to have 2 different defensive looks, one with more tight defense and one with this drone view to have some more poachy defense. So we'll see what Columbia decides on right now.
They, in fact, do decide on that zone look, and causing a lot of throws from this Japanese side. We've seen both teams use zone looks to great effect, trying to generate some turnovers. Swampy Bark, in fact, using it closer to the end zone on their own side. There was an option there. I did see it from the booth, and it's sought out as Sakakura does get it, but now holding on to the disc for a little bit, allowing the defense to settle in. Sakakura is poached deep, but Revolution able to adjust to that. Pressure and time ratcheting up here. Hear a lot of the chants from the sidelines for both teams, trying to usher their teams to victory. Swampy Bark still in the vertical set in the end zone, or in their end zone set, excuse me. Inside flick, and that sets up the around for the score.
Oh, that is pretty. That inside flick look to open up so much space on the break side and then have that break side cut continue in the end zone for Swampy Bark.
Ikeda, 3rd assist of the game, but you know, we don't have the hockey assist for the graphic there, but it was really set up by that inside throw. Ueoka just slicing in that flick to the break side, and Swampy Bark averting another break. and trying to go on one of their own. And try to go on that break train, of course, as we see some people enjoying the games, the sights of what's happening. And with the rain now letting up, obviously the field will be still a little bit more slick. But teams all around getting involved. We see Ellipsis and North Carolina Phoenix coming up at 5 Eastern. That is a matchup to watch, so make sure you tune in for that. Ellipsis staying loose there. Olivia Carr doing a little dance. See Anushka Beaudry as well, getting ready for that anticipated matchup.
Hikari Soto with the pull and 2 goals under her belt. But right now, Japan's focus is trying to force a turn against the formidable O-line from Colombia.
Angel finds Ferrero, and as I go to say that name, the disc continues to move around and ping pong its way through with Swami Bar coming on person defense. Some defenders looking a bit lost out there and not turning their head with Sakakura. And that results in a score as Torres loving it, smiling. A smooth hold for Revolution. Probably can't believe that happened.
Torres grinning at her luck of the minor blip of not having that heads-up defense there on Japan's side, who are usually having their heads on a swivel like your everyday night owl. But right now, Revolution has a lot to celebrate. Look at this drone imagery. Oh, that hand for Yui Sakakura, just inches away from the disc, but right into Torres's loving arms.
Saw the great smile from Torres after, celebrating with Sanchez, discussing what had happened on that one, and Swampy Bark electing to go out in person defense to try to stop things that way. And Revolution's offense just moving too quickly right now, so we'll see if they decide to go with that once again. You can try to help and switch, but it's so difficult because of how quick they move.
Absolutely, yes, it is. And I think what we've been seeing work so well is the quick dishing movement and fast, speedy 1-2 steps off the throws for Colombia that is able to secure so many yards, but through so many hands for the South American team.
Throw with lots of time here. Inoue guarded by Volchuk right now, and a little inside dish. And some miscommunication, throw behind Inoue. And now Revolution potentially off to the races. Volchuk tried to get it with the right hand. Oh, so close, but the disc hits the turf, and Swampy Bar gets another opportunity on offense, and they definitely need that right now.
A great idea there to just quickly transition from that handler space miscommunication on Swampy Bark's part into a quick downfield cut, but unfortunately not able to connect. Can't get them all.
That is right, but Revolution trying to get the next 2. That's all they need right now. They can't get all the points. Sometimes your defense just forcing the offense to work. Tsuyama, that throw looking low, but scooped up by Sato. Tsuyama faking the inside. Getting Kodama free. Swampy Bar really looking for that inside flick to start, and then perhaps looking for a secondary throw afterwards. And now going back around and flick across the field and knocked away. Cardenas Manuela being involved in that one. Good heads-up play there.
Cardenas just an unreal deep threat. Despite not being the tallest of players on the field, you wouldn't think that, because she can get up, as we know. And an unbelievable defensive bid there, but Mascara comes up with it as Revolution transitions into a powerful offense.
Moving forward is Young. And a pick is called, but it looked like Revolution was resetting and going back into their defense anyways.
Looking like a pick call. Montaña with the disc on the close end zone. Coming in. Let's just look at that catch right there. Mascara not giving up, but a turn from Colombia into the hands of Kaori Kodama. And another layout D! What a defensive point by both teams! An unreal play by Akina Young.
Exciting action for sure right now in this game, and giving some more highlights of blading. Flick over to Volchuk, and Revolution 1 goal away from wrapping up this one. What vision right there. And just so much exciting plays. We know we're gonna see more of that throughout this tournament, but for right now we're just gonna revel in some of the action that we are witnessing as we speak.
Revolution. They called it for a reason, Theo. Here we go with that soaring layout, defensive play, just unreal frisbee by Akina Young. And then a clean, mean, blady flick to Volchuk in the end zone.
Akina Young currently living in New York, having played for club teams like Bent and Brute Squad in the past, and showing off the skills right there with the layout block. Get excited if you're a Revolution fan in the audience. You're 1 point away from securing this victory from a very scrappy Swampy Bark squad that has put up some breaks in this game. They have put up some resistance on defense, but just not enough so far, and they're still all smiles, down 14-8.
As we look at their captain, Minoru Yahata, with the O-line for Japan. Shorter pull coming in on the close end zone.
Torres being very animated on the sideline, talking to our defense. As a trap zone look, I think the pull purposeful. They're trying to pin Swampy Bark on the sideline.
Gomez completely facing away from the disc, face guarding whoever's in that space.
Yahata, the captain, as you mentioned, going backfield now. Ikeda, a couple assists in this game, and looking for more here as they try to sustain this hold and prolong this game and give Revolution some opportunities to continue to battle. Ikeda finds her target. What a throw. Yui Sakakura with the grab. And Sakakura, an interesting story, having studied at the University of Tennessee and has friends from the state hoping to come watch her play at this tournament. Okay, another chance to look at this throw. First of all, the upline pass, and then Ikeda, the vision, throwing it over the head of Carolina Angel, and netting her 4th assist of this game. Now Revolution, all you gotta do is hold out on offense and punch your ticket to the victory.
Some waves from the audience there.
Trying to do a wave, but I don't think enough people beside them to actually continue that. But I do appreciate the effort as someone who loves to go to baseball games, seeing the wave sometimes, or other sporting events. But maybe we'll see it eventually in the finals when more people can pack the stadium there.
Oh yes. Finals will be an event for sure, with all of the non-participating athletes in the final games gonna be there in the crowd. I'm sure there'll be some waves among other things there.
Delaying the action because of a timeout call, as both teams trying to get their way to this victory. Mauricio Moore still coaching, up 14-9, and you know coaching, Claire, I think you do some of that, or or maybe aspire to at some point, but coaching never stops no matter what time the game is or what the points are in the contest.
No, every moment on the field is a learning opportunity and should be treated that way. And it's clear that Mauricio Moore, as a veteran coach, in addition to an overall leader and community contributor, knows that. Because this is now prep. This is bracket prep right here, Theo.
Trying to get yourselves ready for these other upcoming games. That's the goal right there. You want to put yourself in the best position possible. Torres, as Revolution comes out in a horizontal stack, Cartagena marked free. Avoids any contact from Sakakura. Ferrero getting tangled up as a pick was called also downfield.
Swampy Bark giving it everything they got right now. As we heard at half, they just want to show Revolution something that they haven't seen yet, force them to play a game that isn't their ideal game, and hopefully try to get to double digits.
Yeah, a couple breaks and they're right back in it, and they'll feel that sort of momentum as well.
Yeah. I'll give it to him.
Ferrero and Torres working together and hoping that that's not the case, that they just end the dreams of a Swampy Bark comeback, right on this point. Around throws all the way to Cartagena. Throw goes down low. And don't look now, a chance for Swampy Bark to get to that double-digit total you mentioned, and a break.
Swampy Bark coming out in a vertical formation for this break opportunity right here.
That no handler dump set look. Throw going up and just a little too far.
Not even a single completion on that offensive opportunity. You know, as we mentioned earlier, it is so hard to force a turn on Revolution. And when you can, you need to convert. You can't have a single miscommunication or overthrow like that, which of course is quite a hard thing to do, but is also necessary if you're wanting to stay tight in this game.
A little easier for us to say in the booth, of course, but nonetheless, that's what Swampy Bark is tasked with right now, with another defensive opportunity. Great snag there by Uribe. And Sanchez now finds Cardenas. And a travel called once again. Torres on this close sideline. Cartagena gets the reset. They're trying to move things to the far side.
Gina helping out a lot in the handler space right now. And a big defensive play by 23, our very own Yui Sakakura, who has been a really strong defensive threat for Swampy Bark. And this game is not over yet.
See a flick huck going up to one of the captain, Yahata. Unmarked temporarily, goes with the powerful backhand, but that is not going to stay in bounds. So they had opportunities, but not able to cash it in.
Swampy Bark just getting a little eager with it, which is a difficult thing to have happen against, again, a team like Revolution. But that is something that Revolution had been counting on coming into this game. A defensive strategy for them was to recognize, oh, and we do have a timeout call by Revolution. Give themselves a bit of a breather and organize how they're gonna seal this deal. But yeah, as I was saying, Theo, I do think that a big part of the reason why we're seeing throwaways like that, that is part of Revolution's defensive strategy coming into this game. and it's intentional. You're forcing those deep looks that might seem open, but you have a younger team here, and it's difficult to do. Let's take a look at these power pools though, because we did have a Mavericks versus Mud match earlier today. Mavericks taking the win, which was unexpected and quite an exciting game. Both of those teams 1-1 in their pool. Fury 2-0, of course, at the top. Then the other three pools here with 2-0 teams at the top in their top two spots as we move on with this tournament.
Those teams being undefeated, right? Getting the touches and reps with other solid teams, and that's what the power pool format gives you, an opportunity to take on some of the world's best as you try to eventually be crowned world champion. Revolution, that timeout call used to settle the nerves a bit as they try to get this 15th point and end the hopes of Swampy Bark.
Swampy coming out with a bit of a poach off person defense, as we see from this high camera view. With the disc.
Great dump defense on Torres, who eventually gets free and doesn't even think about it, off to the, or at least try to go off to the races with the backhand.
Valeria cutting deep too. You don't see that too often, as she's usually the one throwing it deep. I loved that effort. Coming back into their safe hands of Valeria and Torres.
Cartagena does get in power position, but doesn't throw the huck. Finds Valeria. And Cartagena just happy to quarterback, and as we say that, a pick is called.
This has been a long point, which is potentially, again, the final point of the game here.
And in the midst of that point, we're getting a look at it now, a player losing their shoe right there and having a teammate assist them with that. So you got to tie up your cleats pretty tight when you're playing against Revolution.
A Cinderella moment, if you will. Looks like a perfect fit as we get back, tied up, laces tight for the rest of this point.
And just tap back in. You mentioned the Cinderella moment. Maybe Revolution trying to make sure that Cinderella story doesn't take place right now, and punctuating this offensive point. Big around, finds Ferrero. Little give and go. And now slowing things down a little bit just outside the end zone. Torres. Going around, finds Ferrero. And no call on the field. That is the game. Revolution takes it 15-9.
Ferrero with a powerful game. We are seeing a lot from her as well, even though she had just 2 goals, which of course is a feat on its own. We saw her with the disc constantly, moving it through that offensive space and making sure that there was consistency and trust among the offensive line on the field. Looking at her, doing those dishes, those throw and goes, just such a critical part of Colombia's game there. Torres, also such an important player for the team, both as the spirit and heart of the squad, but also as the reliable offensive handler.
Revolution going to celebrate a victory here and hoping that that continues. A long list of them for this squad from Colombia. They came out to play, and despite Swampy Bark putting up some resistance, a couple of breaks in their own right, they were able to power through and get the W and continue moving on here, as both teams will, but getting a better bracket spot.
Certainly a better position for Revolution with this win, but also let's not forget that Swampy Bark still has a shot in this tournament. Coming in as the 8th seed, they are a threat to anyone, and they made that clear this game, forcing multiple breaks across the game. 2 in the first half, 0 in the second half, however. But we're going to see them again for sure. And they are a team to watch out for as they'll transition to crossover play and see what happens later on.
You get to the round of 16 and anything can happen. Any of those 16 teams, even also with the play-ins, can win the title. But right now, we have our own third member of the broadcast team, Katie Killebrew, down on the sidelines.
I am here with Maria Torres, Alejandra Maria Torres, one of the last goal scorers and big contributors on this offensive line. What were some of the keys to that game?
Oh, can you say again in Spanish because I could not understand, sorry.
What were the puntos mayores para
qué?
Para ganar.
¿Cuáles fueron los puntos mayores para
Sí.
ganar?
Yeah.
Okay, great question. I understand now. Okay, the most important point, I think before the halftime, we were really focused on our D in recovering the disc, and our D ganó el disco, recuperó el disco en Spanish.
Yeah. Recovering the disc.
Sí, recovering the disc. Y pienso que ese momento, that moment, fue muy importante porque concluimos el primer tiempo, the first time, we get the break, y segundo tiempo comenzamos en ofensa y anotamos, entonces nos dio una superioridad de puntos y creo que ahí fue un momento muy importante del juego.
She's saying that a very important moment in the game happened in the second half after they broke. They had a second opportunity in offense and really put together their flow and were able to connect those dots together, making the point. I know you are a longtime player in Colombia and you have coached many of these players.
Yes.
What does it mean to you to have inspired this Colombian women's program here at the World Games?
Okay, I have a great job about change maybe our mind about the game, about the players, because sometimes in every sport, you think that the athlete is like a objeto, you know, like
just an object.
It's like the object, like the unique important thing is if you won in la medalla, el trofeo, you know. But my idea is change that. But I love win, but it's more important you like person, you know. How do you feel? You play happy and you get better and you trust in myself and your team, and I think that's the reason. So I play more than 20 years in a row.
And we love watching you play, still contributing, the attitude that you're talking about, really the individual sport, celebrating play has absolutely permeated this team. Are you looking forward to the rest of the tournament? Are you trying to win?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we want to win. Quiero ganar también. Y además, quiero send a mensaje al Ultimate, because a través del Ultimate, we can change our life, because every point in entrenando a través del deporte para la vida, you understand, yes. Working.
So winning is important, but working together, working hard in every point in Ultimate is also working hard in every point in life, and as you grow in Ultimate, you grow in life. Bringing that whole attitude and message to this field, the sport, and our tournament. Congratulations on this game. Good luck in the tournament. And I'm sending it back to you in the booth.
Say hi to Marta. Marta, la mamá, the mother, the chiquis, Manuela and Valeria. Say hi.
Hi to Marta, la mamá. Adios.
Okay.
What an interview right there. Just so exciting to see all the energy from Alejandra Torres and our very own Katie Killebrew. And that wraps it up for us here for this game as Revolution taking it 59. Claire, any final thoughts before we sign off?
You know, Revolution is here to have fun and they are here to play. We are going to see a lot more from them. And a big shout out to Swappy Barg for lots of great plays, lots of great pressure, forcing 2 breaks against Revolution and some huge soaring plays from them as well. That was a fun game, Theo.
Revolution hoping to push further in the bracket. They take this one 15-9.